move it. We got to move it. We got to move it.
Go.
We can't let this. We can't delay things any. Yeah, it really is. It's going to be a great night. A lot of fun. I've got this also, so I've got my other. I can scroll through some of these numbers, and also Kent will be putting up numbers for some of the bigger races, just to let everybody know. Like, for instance, we're going to have the numbers populating on this screen. Election coverage, live results. Vivek and Casey Putz. This should be good. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right, so Kent, you'll be connecting with the numbers on that. So we have a nice image there to show everybody. Once we get some numbers, we're probably not going to get any numbers. I don't think we're going to get numbers till possibly 7:45. So we do have a little bit of time to try to coordinate things here. This is going to be a tight one. Andrew King, Jill Lanzinger, Ron Lewis, Colleen O'Donnell. This is going to be an interesting race for Ohio Supreme Court Justice, taking on Jennifer Brunner. It's they'll have to take her on in November, but I have no idea who is going to pull that one off. Andrew King has been at it for about 2 years. Jill Lanzinger has been at it for about 6 months, but she's got a lot of support here in Northeast Ohio. Ron Lewis, he's been crowned by Mike DeWine, and Colleen O'Donnell has the absolute perfect name. If you want to run on name alone in Ohio, Colleen O'Donnell is the name that you would pick.
So, Joe, I think in that race, you're going to see Colleen and Andrew King as the top two candidates, but who gets number one? That's the real question, because there ain't no second place in politics.
Well, that's the point, too, that people got to realize there ain't no second place when you come to politics. And that ties kind of in with what's happening in District 9. You have Derek Marin.
Isn't that the name of an alien movie, District 9?
I don't know. I know that it's funny because I was watching Predator. I was watching some of the cuts and stuff from Predator on my cell phone, and I'm like,
so is that like all the Democrats on Epstein Island?
What? Oh, I don't know about that. Brian, what the heck's going on? Where have you been? You're usually at the polls working. You ain't out there today, are you?
Yeah, that's true, because I didn't want to put any of the poll workers at risk. Brian Massey with a target on his back. I said I can't do that to my fellow poll workers. So I opted to join you guys tonight. So I'm so proud. I have to give a shout out to Commissioner Plechnik. He was great last night out in Middlefield, speaking to a group of patriots out there. So thank you very much, Commissioner Plechnik, for taking the time. Great job.
Thank you, Brian. It was an honor to be on a panel with you. You have founded the statewide movement to abolish property taxes. And while it's not on the ballot tonight, we're going to see a lot of folks on the ballot, some of whom did and did not support the movement to abolish property taxes. So while our fight continues, it'll be interesting to see how various candidates like Jay Edwards fare, who have signed the petition to abolish property taxes.
Right, and the same thing with Marcel Stribich. He signed it early on. I know that for a fact. So let's see what happens. It's going to be a big night.
It is going to be a very exciting night. This is such an underrated thing when you get to the primary. Very underrated. Oh, wait a minute. Great forum. There you go. Somebody was at your event last night, or else they watched it right here on. John Maher was live streaming it.
John Maher was live streaming it, and also did a great job of participating on the panel. So, a big shout out to Mayor John Maher of Timberlake.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't thank Commissioner Skip Claypool for organizing the event, as well as Commissioner Ralph Spitaleri for being in attendance. It really was a great forum to discuss the reason why property taxes have become such a millstone around the necks of Ohioans and how we have to move forward. So I was grateful to be part of a really esteemed panel discussion. We had a wonderful crowd, and thanks again to Commissioners Claypool and Spitaleri for their participation.
Yeah, you guys did a great job with that whole thing, abolish property taxes. All right, is last night's event available to watch? It absolutely is available. You can go to our Facebook page and watch it. I would strongly suggest, I'm trying to just push everybody to Facebook because we stream everything to Facebook. It's easy to find. Everybody's familiar with it. When you start telling them, go to our Rumble page, they're like, what? It's like, what? You're talking to me in a foreign language. Anyhow, but I wanted to get back on the subject of how important it is, the primary, because people don't understand this. A lot of people didn't vote today. And I know the rain, they'll use the rain as an excuse, but a lot of them woke up and said, what? We're supposed to vote today? They didn't even know about it, okay? I do want to preface this one thing. I voted in Cleveland Heights, which is all Democrat, okay? 90% of it is Democrat. But there were a lot of people voting today, which to me is not a good sign. I was hoping the Democrats wouldn't care about the primary and just, not care about elections, especially when November comes around. But there were a lot of people at the poll today in Cleveland Heights, and I was kind of surprised about all that in a negative way because I know they're all Democrats voting. And what do they got to vote for? Why are they even going to vote? They own this district, but I don't think that's the best sign in the world if the Democrats are getting
well, Joe, let
excited
me give you a little input on that. I'll just tell you what happened. In my world, I've had more than a few people, contact me, and they're saying they want to leave the Republican Party and go independent. So the Republican Party better wake up and start thinking about their policies and procedures for the average citizen. So they may, I'm not saying they switch over to the Democrat Party, but they certainly become independents if the Republicans don't watch what they're doing.
And I think it absolutely has to be said that the results tonight are going to show energy and excitement. Now that can change a lot between now and November, but it's certainly going to show where the momentum is going between the Republican and Democrat parties. And I've expressed the same concern that our friend Brian has, which is that the Republican Party, particularly at the state level, state legislators, council of state, they've kind of taken for granted that they're politically invincible. They really aren't listening to the people on the big issues like property tax or data centers. And as a result, I think they're hurting the party as a whole. So I think tonight is going to show us momentum, and it may be a wake-up call for the Republican Party to say, hey, it may be time to take the reins away from the folks in Columbus. We may have to look exclusively to our national leaders like J.D. Vance, our local leaders, our county commissioners, our mayors. We may have to abandon the folks in Columbus if tonight is a bad night, because they have no doubt been running the party in Ohio for the last 20 years, and we can't afford another bad election. So frankly, Joe, it's really going to be a referendum on Matt Huffman and Columbus if we have bad turnout today.
Oh, we're going to have bad turnout. There's no doubt about it. We're going to have a bad turnout. The rain is going to be a force, but also there's, I don't know, there's just not a whole lot of excitement. I do want to go, but we'll find out, okay? We will find out about that. There's some really good races here. We're going to be covering these as soon as we get some numbers. I don't think we're going to get any numbers until maybe 7:45, just so people understand. But Ohio Secretary of State election coverage, Robert Sprague and Marcel Sturbich, they're going to be battling it out. That is the classic case of the establishment guy versus the grassroots guy. Robert Sprague has been with a political party, the Republicans, for a long time. He's currently our treasurer, too, by the way. He is currently the treasurer of Ohio, state treasurer, and he's going to be moving on to take on Secretary of State if he wins. And so he's been with the party. He's got all the backing of the party, big name, he's got a lot of money, too, behind him. He does, and he's got a lot of campaign money and donations and everything else. And then Marcel Sturbich, a little bit different scenario here. He's never held a political office. He's a newcomer. He was in the Air Force for 20 years. He's retired lieutenant colonel, but he has put together a fascinating grassroots ground game. I will give him credit for that. He's a fascinating one, exactly the blueprint on how you do it. Because it is so hard to manufacture a victory against the establishment when you're grassroots and you're starting from ground zero. And so he's been doing it, I guess, close to 2 years. I don't know if it's quite been 2 years. I mean, he's been on the campaign trail for over a year, but he was on this show 2 years ago. I couldn't believe it. We had him on the other night, and he said it was 2 years ago that he was on the show, and time flies, which is kind of crazy. All right, thoughts on that. John, what's your thoughts on that? So you got the grassroots guy, and you got the establishment guy. This is going to be a very interesting debate.
No doubt. Robert Sprague comes in with a heavy advantage tonight. It would be very surprising to see Marcel Sturbich win this race. I think even his supporters acknowledge that. Sprague has spent over $2 million. My understanding is Sturbich has spent less than a sixth of that. Still a substantial amount for a non-establishment candidate, but definitely outspent 6+ to 1. So it won't be a surprise to anyone to see a Sprague win tonight. It would be a big surprise to see Sturbich pull it out. I can speak from personal experience. It is not easy to fight the establishment. It's not easy to fight City Hall, as it were. I remember my first city council race. I was running against the mayor's best friend, and the local newspaper literally published an article predicting I would lose. So when you're going up against the establishment, it's always an uphill climb. But I do think it's fair to say that there are some very conservative Republicans who have their concerns with Marcel Sturbich. His past as a Democrat from Illinois who runs for office pretty quickly after switching parties. It's not quite the Trump story. Trump definitely is a one of a kind. And yeah, there is some concern that Sturbich switched pretty quickly and then immediately ran. So there are folks who have their criticisms on both sides of this race. But it'll be interesting to see whether the grassroots and the dollars pay off tonight.
Yep. Money makes the world go round, especially when you're in the whole arena of politics. Money is what does it. Hey, by the way, really appreciate you guys keep chatting and stuff like that. If you're out there on any of the platforms, I want you to put that one back up for a minute, Kent. I didn't have time to read it. It says, my first time here. I'm in Ohio. I voted for Casey and Lieutenant Governor and the rest of your candidates. Thanks for your information. I'm not sure who our candidates are. I'm not really sure. So he voted for Casey Putz. And if you're in there, if you're chatting away and stuff, let us know who you voted for, okay? The polls have all closed and everything. Snap Ginger voted for Sturbich. We got a lot of Sturbich people. When I went around Ohio, and I do a lot of driving in Ohio and stuff, I do see occasionally a Marcel Sturbich sign here, there. I have not seen very many, if any, Robert Sprague signs. I don't know how much that would play into the voting or not. If Sturbich has the excitement and the people that want to put the signs out and everything like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he has the majority of voters, and we all know that.
So, Joe, one thing that low turnout means is unpredictability. And while it's certainly the case that in a conventional election, you would give heavy odds to Robert Sprague in this race, you'd give heavy odds to all the incumbent Republicans who are endorsed by the Ohio Republican Party. In a very low turnout race, interesting things can happen. And so we might be surprised tonight as the poll numbers start coming in. We might be surprised because low turnout means unpredictability.
Hey, I just got something from, I got a text message here from Allison Nikolai. Allison, thanks for the text message. And she was trying to set this record straight here on Marcel Sturbich, and says that he was never a registered Democrat in Illinois. See, that's the type of stuff that really needs to, he really needs to push that. Well, it's too late now, but he really needed to push that kind of stuff so that he would have maybe a better chance of getting the endorsement and stuff. But he voted Democrat when no Republican candidate was running locally. So he was in a heavily Democrat area. And I guess if it's anything like here in Ohio, what you vote in the primary is what you are labeled as. And it must have been a primary in Illinois that had absolutely no Republicans running in his district. I can see that as a possibility. So he took up a Democrat one to vote for a Democrat. So you can't. That's not to me a Democrat. You're not a Democrat when you do that, if that is the case. So, but you could be labeled as one. Stay home or vote Democrat if Vivek wins the primary. Have to stick it to the establishment GOP. So there's a person who's not happy.
let me push back on that.
Push back on that. Yeah.
The reality is we all have our favorites in these primaries, but no matter who wins, it's incumbent on us to support the winner. When I ran in 2018 for state representative, the first and only time I ran for state representative, I lost. And it was a tough pill to swallow. It was the only race I've ever lost. But I was the one who raised my hand and made the motion to endorse my opponent for state representative after I was done, because the party needs to come together and beat the Democrats. The reality is, as bad as you may say your opponent is in a primary, that's in the family. That's political talk. When you're going up against someone who may be a communist, who's voted for, endorsed, supported Joe Biden, who very nearly destroyed this country, you got to reset your expectations and unite, because ultimately our children deserve a future, our state deserves a future, and we can't vote for Joe Biden, we can't vote for Kamala Harris, we can't vote for their clones here in Ohio.
Brian, you were out there at Vivek's house. You actually were in his house talking to him and everything. What's your opinion of him? Like him?
He was very, as far as a host, he was very gracious, to all of us. Commissioner Plechnik was there also, and I was, very impressed with him. He unfortunately still did not, sign the petition. He also had called me a few weeks after that and said that his campaign wanted him to come out against the abolish property tax movement, but he said he wasn't going to do that. So he still wants to eliminate the income tax, and we still ask him the question. Well, it's $10.9 billion, I believe it is, that the state is bringing in from the income tax, and how are you going to replace that $10.9 billion? And his answer was, well, the same way you're going to replace the property tax. So it really was sort of a non-answer. He didn't say that they're going to cut spending. So although he was a gracious host, we sure would like if he would have jumped on board to abolish the property taxes and tell the people that he is for freedom and liberty. Because if you're not abolishing the property taxes, you're telling the citizens of Ohio that private property ownership is not important for them, and they're going to just take what the state legislators give them. And even though they talk about cutting property taxes, that's not true. All they're doing is cutting the amount of increase that will be in the future. But what they've got in mind is they're going to eliminate the property tax and replace it with a real estate tax, and that's Senator Blessing's. That's his bill. And when I heard that, that answered my question: when is a blessing a curse? And that is when he's your state senator trying to eliminate private property ownership.
Yeah,
so,
good.
Joe, my honest impression of Vivek, getting to sit at his kitchen table along with Brian and talk to him about tax policy for Ohio, is that he's genuinely open, that he's still forming his opinion on this issue. And while I agree with Brian, I wish that Vivek came out publicly in support of abolishing property taxes today. I am heartened by the fact that he would invite a ragtag group of nobodies to sit down with him in the middle of his campaign, not ask for money, not ask for endorsements, but ask for our opinion. That is the kind of leader you want to see. Someone who's genuinely trying to learn, to listen to his supporters, to listen to his neighbors, to listen to the grassroots and say, what is it you want me to do as your next governor? So I got to give him points for that. I want to see him come further. And I hope as this campaign progresses, Vivek does come out in full support of abolishing property taxes, but his openness is something to praise. And I will say, The man got quite an honor yesterday, I believe, from the Ohio Young Republicans. He was inducted into their Order of Elephants, which is an honor I'm pretty familiar with, actually, because 2 years ago they inducted me too. So I welcome Vivek to the Order of the Elephants, and I hope that, like a good elephant, he's getting ready to cut taxes.
Yeah, I can say, Joe, we did reach out to the Amy Acton campaign. Again, it's a nonpartisan issue for us, but we wanted to try to be heard by all of the candidates, and we did reach out to Amy Acton's campaign. They never responded at all. They did not meet with us. We did reach out to the Libertarians, and their president, Michael Sweeney, very kind and gracious, did sit down with us, and the Libertarians supported the abolish property tax movement. So we're willing to talk to the Democrats if they're. I'm definitely
I do want to distinguish between the Libertarian Party of Ohio, which I agree with you has been incredibly supportive, and they've shared a lot of my social media posts on the abolition of property taxes. So very grateful to the Libertarians. But it looks like their candidate for governor has come out with a different plan, does not support abolishing property taxes. So it's important to note that there's a difference between the party and the person.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, John. All right, I want to. It looks like we are starting to get a few numbers. I mean, this is so early, but I was looking at some of the congressional races here. District 9, which is one that I want to definitely keep my eye on here. Derek Merrin and Josh Williams, they're going to be battling it out. Madison Sheehan is also someone to keep your eyes on, because Madison Sheehan, 29-year-old lady who kind of like the Trump administration wanted to have in there. They weren't thrilled with Derek Merrin losing 2 years ago, and they thought Josh Williams might have a lot of baggage that could be exploited, so they brought her in. But it hasn't really caught on to my knowledge. We'll find out, though. We will find out tonight if it catches on or not with Madison Sheehan. But I got a feeling it's really going to be between Derek Merrin and Josh Williams. And then I think we do have some... it's just so early. Some of these numbers really don't make any sense at this point. But let's look at the lieutenant governor and stuff. If we're looking at the numbers right now, Vivek Ramaswamy and Casey Putz, there's only 8,000 votes. We're going to have a lot. We're going to have a lot of votes. So we'll be keeping tabs on all of that as well. It's just too early. But maybe in about 7:45 almost already. I thought we'd have results by now. It might take until 8 o'clock until we get some of these results coming in. If I want to look at one more, there's really nothing we can garner yet.
Is there any estimate of what kind of voter turnout we're going to have, Joe? I know everybody says low, but how low is low? Is that a 10, 15, 20%, 30%?
Yeah, I have no idea. Let's see. Does it give us anything here to work with?
So, Brian, really. What I've been hearing through my sources is we should expect something in the low 20s. We should expect 20-some% turnout. Now, that doesn't mean that's what we're going to see, but I've heard 20-some%.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So we have a lot of these races. Ohio State Treasurer race, Jay Edwards. Jay Edwards might be calling in around 8 o'clock. We'll see. Talk to him a little bit. It's going to be a while. It might not be until 8 o'clock until we get any kind of a real understanding of the early voting that took place there. That's going to be very competitive. That is a race I'm very interested in. I'm very interested in that. What's the website that you're looking at? Hang on a minute. What's the website that you're looking at? We are looking at the Secretary of State's website that
Live
anyone
results.
can go to. Live results, Secretary of State website. Our household voted for Nikki Frenchko. Okay, we'll have to wait and see how all this pans out with Nikki Frenchko going up against Dave Joyce. That district has been redesigned, John. They added, with the latest map making, they actually gave Dave Joyce's district more than he already had. He was like already a plus 30, I believe. Now he's like a plus 35 or something. It's crazy. So there's no way you can have a Democrat take over that. It's just the primary means everything. So you have Dave Joyce with millions of dollars, Nikki Frenchko, another a fireballer, a grassroots person, brings a lot of excitement. We'll have to see how all that happens. But
Yeah, she was really active in Lake County quite a bit.
yeah, she
So,
was. She's been on the show a
she
few
was.
times and enjoyed talking to her and everything. She's quite the fireball, and that brings excitement too. We've got to have a certain amount of excitement for people to get to the polls, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. But go ahead, John. I think I cut you off.
Well, I was going to say that, speaking of excitement, in all likelihood, the results that we see in early voting, in absentee voting, which we're going to see any minute now, it could be any time between now and 8 o'clock that we start to see them county by county. Those are 9 out of 10 times in line with the end result of the campaign. So 9 out of 10 times you win the early absentee vote, you win. And so even though it's going to take a while to get all the returns in, it's really going to give us some powerful information early on when those numbers start to drop. So I can tell you, speaking as someone who's been a candidate more than once, this is a really critical time. People are watching with anxiety. This, in many cases, is the game. Now, Republican versus Democrat general election, that's not true, because Democrats historically outperform in the early vote, and they get crushed on election day. And so you can't really read between the lines as much as you'd like to with the early vote there. But when you're talking about a primary or a nonpartisan race like we're dealing with tonight, there is a 90-some% chance that the winner of the early vote is the winner. And that's going to give us some valuable data early on.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So, and with a 30-day window for that early voting, you get 30 days to vote. There's a lot of people do vote that way. But if you build up an early lead like that, yeah, it's really hard to overcome, especially on the day of election when voter turnout probably is not going to be as good as you were hoping that it would be for the Republican
And it's not
side.
just about the lead that you build up, Joe. It's the best poll, because it's a poll of actual voters. So it's showing you the trends in actual voters in the most realistic poll imaginable. And that's another reason why we're going to take away a lot, even though it's not decisive, even though it doesn't end the discussion, we're going to take a lot away from these early numbers, which once again could drop any minute.
All right, so I'm gonna take a look here at it's just not working. Let me just drop it down a little. Take a look at District 13 here, because there's really only two districts, congressional districts, that I want to focus on pretty heavily, and that would be number 9, which is out in the Toledo area. We're trying to unseat Marcy Kaptur, so we're gonna see if Josh Williams or Derek Marin can pull that one out. And then the other one is District 13, which I have right here. Now, it was redesigned. The Republicans redesigned District 13, but they made it even more Democrat. Okay, it was only about a 2.5% Democrat lean, and now they made it to a solid 4% Democrat lean. So they made it much more difficult. And I don't know why they did that. They shouldn't have done it. They should not have done that. They should not have done that. District 13, Kerry Coleman is leading with 713 votes. This is really early, though. Kevin Ciambiata has 470, and Neil Patel 323. Now,
Hey, Joe, I've got a question for Commissioner Plechnik when you're finished there. I just
okay.
when I'm looking at the numbers, I'm just wondering if can we extrapolate anything, Commissioner Plechnik, on the race for governor if Casey Putsch, gets, let's say, 25, 30% of the vote? Is that any sort of indicator for November that
If I were
Ramaswamy could be in?
If I were Vivek and Casey broke 30%, I would be nervous, because Casey has had a lot of missteps in his campaign. He's been accused of a lot of not so good things, and I'm not here to say any of them are true, but the reality is a lot of media playtime went to portraying Casey as a Nazi, and that hurts any candidate. That's just the reality. So if Casey is polling at 30+% after the beating that he took, Vivek should be nervous. And frankly, I think he's going to have to be more serious about adopting a traditional Republican platform of cutting taxes, not just modestly, but drastically. And there's really only one movement to adopt if your goal is to do that. So on the one hand, I want to see Vivek's candidacy strong. On the other, a powerful check might be the push he needs to say no to his advisors and get on board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other thing is really saddened to see and hear what happened to Heather Hill and Stuart Moats when their campaign just sort of imploded. I met both of them several times, and very nice people, very great patriots. And I'm so sad that they just had a falling out for whatever reason. I'm not judging either one. I'm just saying that it's unfortunate because they both spent a lot of time traveling throughout the state of Ohio and trying to meet the patriots throughout Ohio.
I want to agree with
I
you.
want to just say something on that lines real quick here. We are going to try to get Stuart Moats. I did talk to him yesterday. He said he could possibly come on at about roughly 8:15, 8:30ish, something like that. And I said, Stu, let's bring, please come on, let's talk. We could talk a little bit about the whole issue he had with Heather Hill. I don't want to go too far into that, but I do want to get his take on Casey Putz and Vivek Ramaswamy. And Stu has always been a real supporter of this channel, and we like Stu. We like Stu a lot. So, all right. Go ahead, John.
He's basically going to say the same thing. Obviously, none of us were a party to the falling out between Heather Hill and Stu Moats. But if I were comparing all the lieutenant governor candidates, Republican, Democrat, and in between, Stu was my favorite. So I was disappointed to see the fight between him and Heather. I certainly hope that it's not Stu's last rodeo, because he seems like a genuinely good person who cares about Ohio. And sometimes you got to take a few L's, you got to take a loss before you figure the game out and where you can make the biggest difference. So I hope that one way or the other, Stu continues his involvement, because I don't pretend to know him well, but my takeaway from Stu is the man cares about Ohio.
Yeah, he does. Okay, so we got some results coming in now, a little bit more heavily. So let's look at the governor's race here. For the Republicans, 57,000 in, 49,000 for Vivek Ramaswamy, 8,000 for Casey Putz. So the percentages are 85-14. That is exactly what Vivek wants to see. Now, 14%, if that were to hold up, I would say that was a massive success for Casey Putz. I really would, to be honest with you. If he can pull in 14% of the vote, I would say that is a massively good time. But, we're still very early. But right now it's polling about 85-14% there. So I just wanted to get that in. Let's just take a quick look. We have a lot of really good races here. Let's look at some of the statewide offices here. Let's look at Secretary of State, because this is one that I've really been kind of interested in. I'll put this over here where you can see it. So we've got right now Robert Sprague, 46,000, Marcel Sturbich at 20,000. So Robert Sprague has 70% of the vote. It's going about a 70-30 right now. We'll see how much that changes as time goes on, but that's where it's at the moment, 70-30. Let's just take another. I don't know if that's a surprise to you guys. It's really not too much. We have the auditor, which is going to be Keith Faber, because he's unopposed, and we have a. Is that right? Is he running for auditor?
No, he is now running for attorney general. He is the auditor.
Yeah. So let me get this straight. Keith Faber is running for Attorney General. He is unopposed. And also Frank LaRose, he is running for Auditor. And he's unopposed. So those two are guaranteed. For, Keith Faber and Frank LaRose, guaranteed victors tonight. But let's look at the treasurer's race. I haven't seen this one yet. Let's take a look, and it's really close. There's 66,000 votes, and you got 31,000 Jay Edwards, 35,000 for Christina Rogner. 53-46 percentage difference. Actually, 53-47. So that is going to be a close one. We'll have to see how that.
Christina Rogner never reached out to Ohio Political News, did she? Am I correct on that, Joe? She never reached out to us to appear on your show.
No, there were several people that didn't.
And the other ones just seemed like it's musical chairs, you know.
Some people don't want to come on. Some people do not want to come on a podcast show like this. They're unfamiliar with it. They don't know what it's about. They don't feel that maybe it could do more harm to them than good. Some people feel that way. I've had quite a few candidates that said thanks but no thanks. So anyhow, but yeah, she hasn't been on. Jay, Jay might be calling in, and we'll see if that.
So Joe, jumping back to the congressional districts again, a few more votes in. It looks like your prediction was right, and that the number 1 and 2 would be Derek Barron and Josh Williams, but they aren't close right now. Derek Barron has 2,151 votes to 872, so 52% to 21%. He's basically doubling up and more on Josh. It looks like it might not have been a great decision for Josh to leave his state rep seat and run for Congress.
Okay. I just got a text message. It looks like Shannon Burns might be calling in. So if he calls in, we will definitely take him. I'd like to hear what he has to say. Strongsville Republican group out there. The largest Republican group in the state of Ohio. And I'd like to hear what Shannon has to say. Always like to hear what Shannon has to say. All right, guys. So we're on this. There are a lot of races. We have the judges. Should we look at the judges? Do we have? Let's look at it. How's
Judge Engler doing?
The Justice of the Supreme Court. I got to see this. And it's not really pulling up for some reason. I don't know if you guys can pull it up or not. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
I think I got it. All right, let's just see what we have here. Let's get this over here. This is something, of course, Dan Hawkins is unopposed, so he's going to win, obviously. Jennifer Brunner is unopposed. She's going to win, no problem. And but this is where it is tight. Okay, and it's exactly as I said. It is a tight race. You got Andrew King, 26% of the vote in. Now, only 90,000 votes, approximately 90,000. You got Andrew King at 26%, Jill Lanzinger at basically 22%, Ron Lewis at 18%, Colleen O'Donnell at 33%. This is tight, neck and neck. This is really tight neck and neck stuff. That's going to make for an exciting finish, I was saying it's like the Kentucky Derby. You got the horse. This horse takes the lead. Then this one does, and then that one. And we have to wait and see who finally finishes the line first. But it's good to see. In a way, it's good to see this. Because all four of these candidates, I'm going to put their picture up here as well. But all four of these candidates really were out and about a lot. And we're really putting forth a lot of effort. It is just so hard doing this to be a Supreme Court justice. Here we go. We don't have any numbers here, but I'm just getting it off the other website. But as I said, Andrew King, he's been out there a solid 2 years. Jill Lanzinger has been all over Northeast Ohio, and she's been scoring points there. Ron Lewis, he was initially going to be crowned by the Ohio Republican Party, but then a few problems happened, so the endorsement was removed, but he's still a strong candidate, no question about it. And so is Colleen O'Donnell. She's doing really well, too. She's got the fire in her belly. The fire in her belly. That's the one thing I remember every time she speaks. It's got the fire in the belly, and I remember that, and that's something that just sticks with your head.
Well, it might be like father, like daughter. You recall that her father was a justice on the Ohio Supreme Court, and I still remember when he came to Lake County to swear in all the countywide elected officials back in, I think it was 2016 when he came down. It was either 14 or 16. So definitely runs in the family. She's leading now, but we still don't know where these votes are from or what percentage of the vote is in. So there's a lot of early vote yet to count.
It sure is.
Joe, I was looking at the judge of Court of Appeals, our friend David Engler. He is losing right now to Marissa Carnaccione, 55% to 44%, but maybe that will turn around.
I'm hoping so.
friend.
Yeah, we had him on
Joe-
here. That is a yeah. Go ahead, Kent.
Stu said he would be on around 8:15 unless Jay pops in. So 100% Stu should pop in. I want to really let everybody know also, as we're getting numbers and all that, to sign up. Even if you sign up for the giveaway, you can get a couple free entries. We have over, I think, 27 contestants right now, the last time I refreshed, and over 600 entries. So take your chance to win. We have, another hour to go. But yeah, sign up. And then we want to thank for the website, is one of the t-shirts for the property taxes. We appreciate that purchase tonight. I think, who was it? Let me see. Oh, Sandy L. We appreciate the purchase, and thank you. Anyone want to go on to Ohio? Click on another tab. Keep watching, but click on another tab to ohiopoliticalnews.com. Go to /shop, and you can get your property tax and mugs and everything else over there. Make sure to check that out, or go over to the website and do the giveaway. There's multiple ways to win. You just have to sign your email, and then there's a couple other ways to win for entries. So, you got another hour.
Yeah, I just did something I didn't want to do. Shoot.
So, Joe, while you're figuring that technology out, let me just share that I've been watching the Lake County Board of Elections website pretty closely, which is going to be really impactful in both the Dave Joyce and the Judge Cornacchio races, because Lake County makes up a big percentage of those districts. And given that Lake hasn't reported yet, and Lake is obviously going to be Judge Cornaccio's strongest area, given that's where she's from, this bodes very well for her tonight. I think it's pretty clear, with a double-digit lead before Lake County is even counted. And the only question I have is whether Geauga is out in those numbers, because that's a big enough county where, frankly, Judge Engler has gotten a lot of support from the Lynches, that maybe that could shift things. And Trumbull, of course, his home county. But I will say, the fact that Lake is still outstanding and Marissa's up by 10 points, I will call this one for her, even as early as it is. I think it's pretty clear Marissa's going to win this race.
Okay, very good. Listen, we've just got an update here. So we got 115,000 votes in. So Vivek still holding at 14% after 114,000 votes. Now, here's something that I'm noticing, and that is that Amy Acton, who is running unopposed, has almost 164,000 votes. But yet the Republicans, we're at 114,000 so far. Why would... it just sends... I kind of get the feeling that the Democrats are a little bit more excited about the political races this year than the Republicans. So we'll have to watch that. Okay, Brian, you were asking, well, what's the turnout? I think the turnout that matters most is Republican to Democrat turnout. That to me is the most important issue, because if the Democrats are still coming out in the rain and everything else, this is all even, and nobody has an advantage today, or early voting. But here's one other thing too now that just hit me. we're talking early voting. So maybe this is all skewed because the Democrats usually vote early, and maybe not that many got out today. We'll see how it all plays out, guys. It's just so hard to call anything yet. But at the moment, let me get these numbers up here so you can see them. At the moment, yeah, it definitely going to be Vivek Ramaswamy. I would be incredibly surprised. But as I keep saying, if Casey Putz is able to hold on to 14%, that's a victory. That is a massive victory, but I don't know if it's going to hold. Depend.
Joe, in the chat, we're getting that our Fox News already called Vivek for the win. So.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, but you don't have to tell us
early,
that. You're not going to have anybody watching. Yeah, you're
Fox
right.
News isn't quite as reliable as OPN, though.
The other one is.
All right, now here you've put some numbers up here. So are you going to start populating the numbers now regularly on all these, or what?
Yeah, I'll do my best with the chat and one man
that's
band.
Right. All right,
But I'll do. Yep, we'll do it.
all right. Let's yeah. So Vivek is Vivek is going to win. I guess the storyline here is not that Vivek is going to win. We all knew that. It's what percentages is Putz going to take? That to me is the storyline. If it continues to be 14%, that's a disaster for Ramaswamy. If it dwindles down to 5-6%, I think that's a massive victory for Ramaswamy. That's my opinion. And I ain't trying to be no know-it-all expert, that's for sure. All right, we got to look at some of these races here. I got to find out the treasures because this is a big.
No, those numbers are closing. The latest update shows it's now 60,000 to 59,000. It is as tight as it comes between Christina Rogner and Jay Edwards.
Yeah. Wow, there is like zero separation there, and this is again just the early voting. We don't know about the day of. We won't find out about that for a while, but this is the early votes. They're still punching all the early votes in as fast as they can. Wow, so you got a basically 50-50 right there. If you round Jay Edwards up, it's 50-50. 120,000 votes. Oh, thank you. Great coverage. Exclamation point. We got to buy you a mug. We're going to have to get that person a mug. All right, I want to say a couple things here on, we were talking about Engler real quick, Judge Engler, because we had him on the podcast show. This, the other thing about Judge Engler is not only that he's running, and he's running for the, what is he running for? What he's running for the district. He was running for one of the district county, yeah, I'll have to see. I'll have to look it up again. But anyhow, the thing with him was, if you guys remember, he filed a lawsuit against the Supreme Court on issue 1 from 2023 because it took all the parental rights away from parents when they want to have an abortion. It took all the parental rights away. And that headline there, that picture that you saw right there, that was a picture when they were doing a commentary on what Judge Engler had to say in the Cleveland Plain Dealer, and they just ripped him from shred to shreds because he's talking about, giving parents the option of being notified when their child is going to have an abortion. So he's a really good guy, and we totally respect him on that. All right. Listen, I'm going to bring in our special guest here, the man of the hour. Does anybody know who this guy is? Of course we do. How you doing, Shannon?
Nice
Shannon
Burns.
Good
to see you. How you doing?
That's good to see you, man. So you obviously... Oh, I got to get rid of that. I get your real name under there. What is... what's your thought?
Judge for tonight?
Yeah, you could be a judge. Got to dress in black, though, if you want to do that. All right, Shannon. So what's your thoughts, man? I want to hear what you have to say so far about what's happening political-wise in this primary.
First off, there's not that many surprises just yet. We knew that the Supreme Court races would be very close. As far as the governor's race go, I don't know that I agree with you that there's some big check mark or a victory for a 14 point or 11 point vote total for Casey in this case here. I mean, I think that overall you're going to find that in any election, I don't care what election it is, you're going to have 10, 15, 20% of the people who don't vote for the front runner just because. And there's a lot of different reasons here or there. So, I mean, if he would have been at 20% or 25%, then we'd be talking. But I think 14.
Okay, so you're saying that 14, 15% is not a big deal. Is not a big deal if Casey Putz were to put that up against Vivek. Okay,
I agree. I don't think that's that's not a surprise at all. That's saying 1 out of 10 people in the room weren't in favor of the front runner, and that's just how it is, especially in sort of this anti-incumbent, anti-endorsed candidate space that we're in right now. I think that just happens. As far as the other races, as I look at it, that Sprague is in front of Marcel. It doesn't surprise me either. I think that Sprague is a great candidate. I know that there's a lot of our friends in the movement that had this belief that Marcel was going to be a great result tonight, and obviously we don't know the full results yet. But you're looking at John's comments earlier are spot on that having early vote results is going to tell a lot in the Republican primary. But I'll tell you what, I mean, there's a simple fact that as a movement, we need to have great candidates. I mean, honestly, Marcel is a great advocate for election integrity. There's not one thing you can take away from him on this, but he needed to be a great candidate, and he wasn't. And I think that's the biggest struggle that we have as a movement. If we want great conservatives to run, they have to be great at being a candidate. And not just being great at the position that we're hiring them for. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's just, it is a reality that has to be taken in by our folks in our movement. If you're going to compete, you have to raise the money. And if you need to be smart about the way that you're spending. And I just don't think that was the case. He was outfunded 10-1. Something to that degree, and not that money's everything, but it's a significant part. If the average person on the street doesn't even know his name, and you can't win an election if people don't even know who you are. So on that topic, I'm a huge fan of Robert Sprague. I'm glad that he's going the route that he's going. I think that he'll be our nominee for the Secretary of State race.
Let me ask you a question, Shannon. So you were saying that he was outspent 10-1. I know a lot of people like Marcel. And when I traveled around Ohio, I travel around Ohio a lot with my job driving and stuff, and I see a lot of Sturbridge signs. I didn't see hardly any, if any, Robert Sprague signs. But Robert Sprague is winning 70-30 in the total vote. So he did campaign differently. It wasn't yard signs. It was mailings and maybe advertising, radio, TV, things like that. But if you flip the coin, I mean, if you gave the equal amount of money to both candidates, what would happen then? Or if you gave Sturbridge a 10-1 advantage over Robert Sprague, I mean, it just seems, did he win? Is the money the deciding factor here? I mean, if you gave Sturbridge a ton of money, what would you think would happen?
I mean, first off, the premise of your question's off, right? In order to have a ton of money, you'd have to have a ton of support. And you have to earn that support. You have to go ask for it. And yes, I mean, I think Marcel had a great ground game. He probably had the best ground game of any candidate in the primary in 26. Obviously, I think Vivek's is much more substantial. So I'm not comparing it because Vivek didn't have a true primary. Where I'm talking about the candidates that had primaries, especially the down-ticket candidates. So Vivek Marcel did a great job of developing that ground game, and yard signs is a portion of that. But you need to be on the phone every day talking to people who want to invest in your campaign, and going and talking to 20 people every night is an important part of being a candidate. But the other important part that was forgotten was spending 6 hours a day on the phone, calling people and asking them to invest in your campaign. And he didn't do it. He just didn't do the work. for that part. So, I mean, it's tough to hear. It's tough for me to hear because I want to have great conservative candidates like Marcel be the victors on these days in the future. I want that to happen more than anything. And the only way that's going to happen is if we can get candidates that want to put in the work and do the work.
All right, I'm going to show you something here. Okay, here is the candidates that are running for Ohio Supreme Court. I'm going to show you the latest tally right now, but if you had to pick one right now as to who would be leading with 32%, almost 33% of the vote, which one would you pick? Any idea?
Are you talking to me, Joe?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, sure.
Well, I already heard you already gave me the results. I already heard that O'Donnell's at 32%. So I'll be cheating if I shared that.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Colleen O'Donnell. Colleen O'Donnell has 33%. She has pulled ahead. Now, 124,000 votes cast, a long way to go, and it still looks pretty neck and neck-ish, if you ask me. She has the perfect name, though, Shannon. She has the perfect name, and her father was also Ohio Supreme Court Justice. And she campaigned very well. So give me your thoughts then on these four candidates. Just real brief, cliff notes on each of them. What did you think? And who do you think is going to eventually pull it out?
Actually, I liked all four of them myself. I mean, I had a chance to talk and meet with each of them. I liked all four candidates. I think they were all great, solid candidates. And it made it tough. I mean, Colleen O'Donnell starts off with a name advantage more than anyone. I think that is what we're seeing in the live results right now. I think that's going to be a name that's tough to beat. I'm a big fan of Jill Lanzinger. I think that there's still a reasonable chance that she pulls this out. She did very well in getting her message out. We had her on, and Joe, you were there Thursday night talking about COVID and her story. I wish she shared that message with more people earlier on, because that's just, she's so passionate about the topic, and to have a judge that was really defending our rights from the bench, I don't think it's replicated. But I can't say enough about how great it is, Joe, that we have a primary, right? Because you and I both know we were a day away from not having a Supreme Court primary, right? I mean, the DeWine cabal had put Fisher in as their guy, and they were going to give him the endorsement. That was it was coming. The report was coming to the State Central Committee, and we made it clear that we had the votes to block it, so that we would not have an endorsement for Supreme Court on the State Central Committee. And as you remember, Fisher pulled his name from consideration and then eventually dropped out of the race for Supreme Court, which then opened it up to, like Jill Lanzinger wouldn't have even been in the race because she didn't get in until after the state party decided not to endorse. So I'm really grateful that that's the case, because I even though we have a really tough year in front of us, I still believe that every Republican is going to win in November for Supreme Court. I think both Dan and whoever our nominee is tonight will win. I think the partisanship divide in the state is great enough to subside even a bad year. So that's my gut instinct right now. We'll see what happens. There's a long time between now and the general election, but I think we have. We're very fortunate to have been able to have the opportunity to choose our candidate for Supreme Court instead of having it chosen for us.
All right, here's something on District 9, which I'm following very closely, because I want to see who's going to go up against Marcy Kaptur. And that district has been redesigned to help the Republicans a little bit more, so they better pull it out. Derek Merrin is ahead, but there's only 8,700 votes, which is kind of unusual. Not that many votes yet cast. All right, Derek Merrin leads Josh Williams. So any thoughts on that? Derek Merrin. Say Derek Merrin was to pull it off. What's your thoughts on Derek Merrin as candidate? He's going to be able to beat Marcy this time, right? Hopefully.
I hope that that's the case. I think it's going to come down to whether or not there's another libertarian really messing things up. The Democrats did a great job spending money on behalf of the libertarian candidate and stole that race from Merrin the last time. Whether it's Merrin or Josh Williams or that makes his the nominee. we've got a few more points to deal with, but we've also a few more points behind because of a bad year this year. But to be honest, I haven't looked at the ninth a lot. John, have you spent much time looking at the ninth?
Oh, the ninth congressional district. And my impression from square one was that the top three candidates were going to be Derek Merrin, Josh Williams, and Madison Sheehan. And the question was, would Trump really delve in and give his endorsement? Because he's 100%. When Trump endorses, the primary is over. But he hadn't done that. And so it's kind of left those three candidates in a jungle primary to fight it out. And you see Derek Merrin, frankly, taking advantage of the name ID he had from the last go-round to win this. I think, frankly, Josh Williams is going to look back and wish he'd run for re-election as state rep, because without Donald Trump's intervention, he really didn't have a path here. Either it was going to be Trump's guy, someone coming from D.C. like Madison, or it was going to be the person who'd already established himself in the district last time. I think Josh jumped a little too early. I think he was excited.
Yeah, I got you there. Well, let's look at one other district here real quick with the numbers. This congressional district 13, which is also an interesting one. We have a possibility of taking it, but it's been redrawn, and it's even more Democrat than it was before, which I'm not a big fan of. But here it is, District 13. Okay, so Kerry Coleman is pulling ahead pretty well now, 47%. So Kerry Coleman looks like he's going to pull that out. We hope. We'll see. I mean, I hope. I don't have a lot of stake in this, but Kerry said that he would call in. So that gives him the benefit. You know, if you got to call in, I'm going to put a little bit more urgency behind your name. So he said he'd call in around 8:45. He's going to the Christina Rogner watch party. That's where he's going to be. Now, I don't think there's going to be any Christina Rogner or Jay Edwards victory at 8:45. It looks like that one's going to go right down to the wire, definitely. But it is good to see. I know Kerry Coleman was a little nervous, and it's like, but they've got such an uphill battle. Whoever wins, so let's say it is Kerry Coleman, he's got to take on Amelia Sykes. And Sykes has $1.6 million cash on hand that she could just distribute and go with at a notice. And that just spells disaster, right? You've got to really, really convince the national donors that you can win District 13 if you want to get that kind of cash flowing.
Kent, could you throw up another graphic for Jay Edwards and Rogner? I think our viewers would love to see how this one's flipping.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Oh, wait a minute. Kent has it here. He's got this one with the numbers in it. Good job. Okay, Jay Edwards has actually outperformed Christina Rogner slightly, but he was a little bit behind prior to this. Okay, it's going to go right down to the wire.
They just changed again. Hold on.
Oh, it just changed. Yeah, every 3 minutes we get an update. Let me just see here. Yeah, so this is the treasurer.
Okay, they just switched.
Increase the lead a little bit there, but we just don't know where the votes are coming from. You know, obviously they both have their bases of support where they served as state rep and state senator respectively. So we don't know enough to say for sure other than this looks to be a very close race.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not kidding. It's going to be a very, very close race.
So Shannon, I wanna go back to the state Supreme Court for a moment here. I'll be honest, my favorite two were Colleen O'Donnell and Andrew King. And while it looks like O'Donnell has the momentum tonight, I really hope that Andrew King, the Judge King, is someone we keep involved. He has a good ballot name. He showed an incredible amount of energy and enthusiasm coming out to all 88 counties. I see a lot of future with that young judge. And I hope that we continue to invest in him as a party.
Yeah, John, I couldn't agree more. I honestly think all four candidates have have a future. I mean, I really did sincerely like each of those candidates. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not that well qualified to be able to tell you from one perspective or another how they're going to be rule from the bench. So that's difficult for me. I know that that you may have some more background than I do on that, but I'll tell you what: if we have candidates like that vying for our top Supreme Court seats every single time, I think we're going to be much better off with a more conservative Supreme Court going forward. And quite frankly, what's important to me is that the next time that there's a Maureen O'Connor on the bench, that we are comfortable in primarying her, right? And that's really what I think that's the win tonight, is that we had a vibrant primary for Supreme Court. And let's just be honest, yes, we're going to have to fight against in the general election. We'll go out and raise money. The state party is going to do well in supporting the Supreme Court candidate. I do feel like we're going to have success with whomever it is that wins. But, overall, I mean, John, I really liked Andrew King. I really liked him. I think he was a great speaker. I think he worked hard. He knew how to campaign. So I can't say anything bad about, quite frankly, any of the candidates. Some raised more money than others. Some worked harder than others, but not by a lot. It's not like we had some dead weight on the ballot there.
No, they all put forth a tremendous effort. I got to give them all a lot of credit. And that is one of the hardest things to do when you're running for a statewide judge position. It's so hard to differentiate yourself from the other judges. You all say the same thing. I'm going to interpret the law. I'm going to interpret the Constitution the way it is. I'm not going to be an activist judge. And then it's like, you got to get out to all these events. You got to get your name recognition, and no one's really paying attention. It's tough, man, to run for the Supreme Court. And I'm really impressed that it is just such a close race all the way around. Really impressed with that. I got to tell you, we got George Satari joining us here tonight. George, are you with us? I saw you pop in.
I'm definitely with you. I'm not against you. I'm with you.
There you are, the man in black. We were just talking about black. The robes, the judges, all they wear is black robes. Now, you never show your face. I should put under your name like Mr. X or something. But you do the Monday Night Roundtable on WHK Radio. And when is the Monday Night Roundtable? What day is
Joe,
that?
I don't cast the reflection, so you would just get a picture of my kitchen ceiling. So.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's better that we don't have to look at your kitchen ceiling. But
right.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so I just saw that Stu popped in. So Stu, hang loose for a minute. George, let me go to Stu real quick because I know that he's on a time constraint. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
But all you guys contribute and everything like that. I would appreciate it. But we got to bring Stu, the guy with the cowboy hat. There you are, Stu. And it's good to see you, man. Stu Moats.
Hey guys.
It's really good to see you. Glad you could hop in on all this. And I know you got some time constraints. Vote to abolish property taxes. Yee-hoo! Yeah,
there goes Stu.
Hey, I bet you Brian's doing cartwheels right now.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so Stu's been on quite a bit, and we really appreciate you hopping in and stuff like that. So I got you on. We don't have to elaborate it very long, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but we got to ask the $64,000 question and stuff like that. We're really sorry to hear what happened, the falling out between you and Heather Hill. Any comment you want to make on that, and then we'll move on to what's happening today. But we want to ask it because we are interested.
So, can you guys hear me okay?
Sure.
Okay. So, I'll say there's some differences. So, when we first started the campaign, when I first signed up to be a running mate, we were in violent agreement that we were going to run a positive campaign. We weren't going to tear other candidates down, and we were just going to stick to our platform ideas and really just put it out there. And then that just ended up not being the case over and over again. And there's a lot of campaign guys and gals that they left after a couple of weeks, and I tried sticking through it as much as I could. Then it got to a breaking point where internally we just there were some things that just couldn't be overcome. I walked away. I said, look, I was like, I'm not going to, submarine the campaign or anything, but I was like, I'm just not going to support it. I'm going to go calm out for a while. And then if you do end up winning it, just replace me, on day one, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And then about a week later, that's when everything started unfolding very poorly on social media.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, it's politics is so strange. It is just so strange, and it never is a smooth ride. But I've met with you. I met with Heather Hill. You guys were both out at the Thirsty Cowboy in Medina, and yeah, we had a good time, and it was good meeting everybody. And at that time, you guys looked like you were a strong pair, a strong governor, lieutenant governor, and you're ready for battle and everything. And things do fall out of place. Let me ask you a quick question though. Are you going to try to stay in politics in some capacity or not? You have to. You got to stay. You got to stay somehow in politics. This is just, one of those things. This is just a learning curve.
So people ask me that, and I've had local guys that are like, hey, I'd really support you for county commissioner. And I was like, look, if I can't outdo Commissioner Plutchnik as a great commissioner, I can't do it. I know I can't fill his shoes in Lake County, down here in Greene County like he has. And then I've had people ask about, there's going to be an empty state rep seat coming up in 2 years. And I tell people, I'm like, look, I was like, I'm not a politician. I wasn't before, and I'm not now. And it would take a burning bush talking to me over the next year or two for me to stay in any type of political realm.
Okay, so the state rep position is going to open up, and who is that? Who has it right now?
It's Brian Lampton. He's in our district.
Okay.
So he'll be termed out, and like I said, I've had different precinct captains, and a lot of people, say that, that's probably a good, a good avenue from here. But I tell people, like, this has been interesting. I've met a lot of great people, and I really feel that I connect, as a blue collar guy, but also with an MBA. It's like I can chameleon, I can talk to the everyday Ohioans, but I also, I can talk to the corporate guys as well. And what I've seen out there, that's why property taxes, it's so passionate for me, because that's a nonpartisan, like you guys have already talked about. And nothing would help everyday Ohioans more than to get this property tax burden from around our necks. So that's where the next couple of weeks, I was laying low, let this primary, play out. But I'm really going to get some videos out there and talk about how I think we could make suggestions to the legislature of how to overcome that $20 billion shortfall in the revenue once we do abolish the property taxes. Because even at the polling center here in Greene County that I visited, I mean, there's some really good people, really intelligent people that they don't want to sign. And it's the big answer, hey, how are you going to replace, those, that funding? And I really do think that, between Heather and I, we put a lot of thought into that. And I think we have some pretty solid answers of how we can do that.
Well, we definitely, and I think Brian would agree with this, John Plutchnik, that we want you to continue to work on that, abolishing property taxes, and maybe work with us as a team. Right, Brian? Bring Stu on
absolutely.
As a team.
Absolutely, Stu. Just, keep me posted. Let us know how we can help in your area.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, and that's the thing. It's like, I don't care who gets the credit. I don't think anybody does. That's where, lieutenant governor or governor, that wasn't important to me. And I keep going back to, no one's going to remember who was elected tonight 20 years from now. So it's, hey, can we all do our parts and try to make the kids and the grandkids' lives a little bit better? And I think the property taxes, I think that is the number one way that we can really secure the future of our kids and grandkids and make it a little bit brighter.
See, that's the humility, that's the realism that I love about Stu. And I've said before on the show that while Vivek was always my pick for governor, if I could independently vote, for lieutenant governor. You're my favorite nominee in that category. I think we should be able to vote separately, frankly. I think that if Vivek had you next to him, you would be counseling him right now. We want to cut income taxes, sure, but it's not the priority of cutting property taxes. It's not what the people are crying out for now. And sometimes I think you need to bring that realism into the echo chamber that is Columbus. Vivek's not from there, but his advisors are. And you can see him trying to navigate the swamp. But it's not easy when you don't have the grounding of people who live in the real world surrounding you.
Yeah.
And so I hope you stay involved both with us trying to abolish property taxes, but also in the state, because whether you take a title or not, it takes all hands at the ranch to bring the cattle home. And you're our number one cowboy, Stu.
Oh, I appreciate that, Commissioner. I really do. I said I really look up to you, Brian, Leonard, Joe. I mean, all you guys. I mean, you guys aren't doing it for fame and fortune. You guys are doing it because you know this is what's best for Ohio, and you're doing your part.
If we are, we're doing a terrible job. I have
We
to
ain't
say.
doing it for fame and fortune, that's for sure.
I mean,
We
poor Joe
ain't
is
doing
running
it for fame and fortune. All right, let's see what's happening real quick here. I'm going to let you go, Stu, in 1 minute, but let's just take a look here at what is happening with the governor's race. Vivek Ramaswamy, 146,000 to 28,000. So he's really pulling away now. Although Casey Putz is still at 16%, but Shannon, you were saying that doesn't mean anything. But that's a pretty strong Vivek Ramaswamy lead right there, and I know he's going to win. But
It is, and I think the question is going to be is, you know, Casey was very divisive, and he's not a Ramaswamy fan, and I can't say that I was either. But will Casey's supporters in the general election will they support Ramaswamy? I think that's the. Like I said, there was so much negativity thrown at Mr. Ramaswamy, and obviously the Democrats they're gonna have a heyday with everything that Casey was pointing out. And it's not original to Casey. I mean, this summer it's going to be a mudslinging contest, and they're going to bring a bunch of stuff out. But it's like, yes, can we Republicans, can we really rally behind, you know, the endorsed, I don't say the endorsed candidate, but the winner here tonight, and will people be motivated to come out and vote this November?
Well, I think there's going to be a huge motivating factor, and you know what that is? 2 words: Amy Acton. Okay, because if you don't jump on the Vivek Ramaswamy board, you got Amy Acton, and that is a scary, scary thought.
It is. I agree.
Okay, Stu. Hey, I'm going to let you go, man, because I know that you got a lot, but we got to stay in touch. All right?
I appreciate you guys.
Really appreciate everything you do, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you. God bless. All right. I got one last question, Shannon, unless you want to stay on. It's up to you, man. But the Casey Putz people, 16% right now that are voting against Ramaswamy. Why? And does that matter? Are they going to just swing to vote for Ramaswamy then in November?
I mean, that's work. You know, Vivek's got to put the work in, right? He's got to be able to go out and convince those people that didn't vote for him that he's the guy that can lead the state. I think you're right that Amy Acton is a huge motivator. I actually thought you were going to say the 2 words property tax. I thought that's what you were going to say. It was going to be the motivator, but maybe we don't have that coming on the ballot in November. But it is. There's no doubt that Amy Acton will bring the passion back to our base. Our base is still, I mean, you saw it on Thursday night. People are still pissed about what she did, right? And Mike DeWine can try to take all the claim he wants for him being the one that did it. But we all know that he was just being led around by the nose by her. And she was the one that came up with all of these evil policies and caused so much pain, you know, for people like my daughter who was in kindergarten at the time and lost, you know, 2+ years of her schooling.
No, I agree. I agree. There is no choice. You're going to have to go with Vivek. I can't see anybody voting for Amy Acton. That would be an absolute disaster. Hey, I want to take a look here real quick at the treasurer race. And Jay Edwards, 52 to 47. That's interesting. He's starting to nudge away. So that's interesting there. Wow. So we'll see what happens. So,
Well,
Joe,
I think John was right, though. I think
wanna-
John was right, though. That has all to do with which sections of the state are being reported, and we don't have that information just yet. We don't even know for sure that we've got all of the absentee and early vote from across the state in, do we?
85 of 88, it looks like. Reporting absentee vote totals, 85 of 88 counties.
Got it.
I really want to second our Republican State Central Committeemen here, Shannon Burns and Joe Miller. It doesn't matter whose side you were on before. Once this primary is over and we have a Republican nominee, we have an obligation to future generations to support them. When I lost my primary for state rep, the hardest thing I ever did was raise my right hand and nominate my opponent to be endorsed by the local party, but I did it because it was right for Ohio. It's not about you. Even when you're the losing candidate, you need to step up and support the nominee. And I would say that to Heather Hill and Casey Butch. If you're real Republicans, you're going to back whoever wins this tonight. Doesn't matter if it's you or not, because it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about all of Ohio.
Somebody put a little crackpot joke up there, and they said that I'm winning with 100% of the vote, and it's true because
Joe,
I don't
you
have
are
anybody voting
unstoppable.
against me.
And people are too afraid to run against the legendary Joe Miller.
Well, I think Shannon, are you opposed in the state central?
Nope.
Nope.
First time ever not being opposed.
There you are.
Spent all my time trying to make sure that Doris Peters wins as my seatmate.
And do you have you're 100? Oh, Shelby Hunt is losing. We got to have to take a look here in a little bit at some of these state central committee races and stuff like that. But Shannon, you're welcome to stay on.
You have your phone
whatever
available.
you want to do. But
So if I ask for a number,
I gotta switch over to this guy here for a minute. Turn your camera sideways. Turn your camera. Well, if you want to. If you want us to get a little bit more view, you can go horizontal with your camera.
right? Okay, all right, here we go. How about that? No, I'm standing outside because it's a little bit loud, and I'm sitting over with Christina Rogner at her watch party. And I will tell you, in my particular race, have you seen the numbers so far?
I saw the numbers, and you are winning. And you are winning very, very well. I'll
Well,
pull those
these-
up for you. I'll pull them up.
These are the early voting numbers. This is the absentee numbers, but I think we're actually, I think we're going to do actually even better day of voting.
Okay, well, let's see where you're at here first. I'll put this up real quick. So, okay, we've got this on the screen. You can't see it, but it's on the screen. So we have.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, you can see it. You got 47% of the vote right now, Kerry.
Right,
Kerry Coleman,
yeah.
47% of the vote. It looks like you're going to pull this out. You may even pull further away, and you got a lot of people on the ballot, so that's really impressive. In my opinion, that's impressive. You must be doing something right.
Well, I can tell you this, Joe. We have not campaigned in any negative capacity toward our fellow Republicans. We've been very clean. We've been very gentlemanly, if you will. And I'm kind of proud of that fact that we didn't get into any cat fights in the party. And I just want to grow the brand, grow what we're trying to do
All right,
with
hang on a minute.
conservatism.
Hang on a second. We got some bad feedback. Bad feedback.
Okay,
I'm
bad
sorry.
feedback.
No, it's good
I don't
now.
hear the feedback.
It's good now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. But I'm very proud of the campaign that we ran in the primary because we were showing a great deal of respect to all of the other candidates, and I happen to like them. I enjoyed the campaign as far as they were concerned, and from day one, it was against Amelia Sykes and going against one of the most radical leftist career politicians in the history of Congress.
you're at the event for Christina Rogner. Okay,
Yes,
so
I'm
she's got her
slightly
watch
outside the
party.
district.
Can you take the camera and show us what's happening in there? Or-
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mind?
Let's
Go inside a little bit.
Okay,
Buy me
here
a
we go.
beer. Buy me a beer
All right,
while you're in
I
there.
can't hear you though once I get in here. And this is the crowd at the watch party, and it's very nice, very wonderful. A lot of great people here, but if I stay inside, I can't hear you. So
Yeah, okay. You
You
can
can
go
see
back
what
out
I'm-
if you like. I was just curious what it looked like there.
yeah, because having done a lot of live remotes and been on television and noisy environments, if I don't have an earpiece and I can't hear you talking, because I'm doing this off my speakerphone, it would be impossible to hear your questions.
I got you. Well, you are winning. Congratulations on that. Has anybody got a question for Kerry while we have him here? Now, you were saying that Channel 5 was going to show up. Well, what's the mood right now? What's the mood with the Christina Rogner campaign?
Well, it is a little bit somber because it's a very close race, and we've got a lot of votes still to count statewide. And I'm hoping for her, and she's a good person. So, I didn't endorse anybody myself in that particular race. So, she's wonderful. I like everybody, but a little bit nerve-wracking right now.
Hey, I got an idea. George, you're with us, right? George Satari?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, you must have a question. You must have a question for Kerry. You got it.
Well, real quick, I noted a note from Hillary. She said she only has 1 minute. Why don't you give her the floor, and then I'll follow up. Hillary, are you still there? I think she's on mute. Yeah, she's on mute. Yeah, you said you only had one. Well, you said you only had 1 minute,
that's
so I
okay.
thought
You
I'd
don't want to
yield my
interrupt.
time. I don't need to be any place.
Okay, George, you hang in there. As far as Hillary, I don't have another Zoom open, so when Kerry leaves, which we'll bring Hillary on. How's that? But anyhow, does anybody have a question for Kerry Coleman? So, Kerry, if you do win, it looks like you're going to, you got to go up against Amelia Sykes. That's going to be one heck of a mountain to climb. You know that.
Oh, of course I do. I was just ruminating on some of the things that she does, and one of the things that I've not spoken too much about is the Food Farm National Security Act, HR 7567, which would, if it gets through the Senate and gets to the president and signed, would prohibit our foreign adversaries from buying farmland. Now, guess who doesn't like the idea that we should limit our foreign adversaries from buying our farmland? Amelia Sykes. She voted against that. So why would she want foreign countries, especially when they don't like us, to control our food supply?
Yeah.
In
Joe,
a very large
I do-
measure, Ohio is a very much an agricultural state on many levels, not just manufacturing. Why would we want other countries coming in, especially when they don't like us, buying up our farmland? Amelia, can you answer to that one?
Yeah, she can't. Brian, you got a question?
Yeah, it's just a question. When you were speaking to the citizens in the state of Ohio, was there a general, just an overall feeling? Do you sense optimism or pessimism, from our fellow Ohioans?
In terms of, elaborate
Well,
a little bit more.
just in general, were they pumped up about the direction of the state of Ohio? That they're happy with their politicians, they're happy with their lot in life, or do they
Well,
sense
you
that there
know
needs
what?
to be a drastic change?
Well, certainly when it comes to Amelia Sykes, yes, absolutely. And I will tell you here locally, the animus, even among liberals, they are getting sick of her because she's a phony, she's a fraud. I like to call her Amelia the Chameleon because she advertises herself as something of a moderate, but she is a radical lefty. Now, when it comes to the overall malaise or whatever you might say is going on, Nobody likes the prices. Nobody likes the price of gasoline. Nobody likes the tax situation that we've got in this state. So there is a lot of angst associated with that. But I can tell you one thing most voters are completely and 100% certain about. The Democrats will do nothing to ameliorate that. They will do nothing except continue overregulation and high taxes. And specifically with Amelia, she's got a 0 on the Freedom Index, and that means when it comes to constitutional issues, when it comes to taxation, regulation, our constitutional rights, she scores 0%. And I don't think she represents any of American citizens when it comes to the things that we hold dear. So is there a certain discomfort with the price of gasoline and a couple of other things, and certainly the high tax structure that we're in Ohio? Yes, there is. But they know one thing for certain. The Democrats are not going to fix that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, Kerry, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Maybe you can stop. Maybe you can call back in a little while if we find out what the situation is with Christina Rogner. It's looking really good for you, though. It's looking very good for you. So you can go have a beer now, I think.
Yeah, and you know what I'm going to be doing, too, after the primary, if I win. I'm going to call up all of my contenders. I don't call them adversaries, if you notice, but because I don't feel like we're adversaries. We're hopefully on the same team, relatively speaking. But I'll call up all the people that ran in this primary as Republicans, and I will do my very level-headed best to get them on board with me, because that's the way that we win in November.
You got it. Good job, man. All right, congratulations. We'll talk to you later, okay?
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
I just found something interesting about Kerry's race, and I think this is going to be the case across the state. I was actually trying to get the numbers across the state, but I don't have access to them all right now. But looking at the 13th congressional district in 22, which is sort of the comparable year to 26. 22 is a higher turnout, but we're seeing a really, really low turnout for at least early absentee vote. If you look at the 13th congressional district, only had 5,100 people vote early. In comparison to the total vote in 22, that's like 8% of the total vote in 22. And as you know, we average about 25 to 35% absentee turnout as a party in these primaries. That's really, really low. Really low.
That is low. Yeah. Let's pull this up here, what you're talking about real quick. So these are the vote totals. I mean, only 5,000 votes for a congressional district. I've never seen it that low. Never seen it that low.
It makes me think of two things, right? John's point was really salient earlier in the night about, our early vote totals are very telling, except in the scenario where the election day vote is so significantly larger as a percentage, then it can really skew things. That's one thing to think about. And the second is if 5,000 votes represents 25% of our vote, and we're going from 56 down to 20,000 votes there, that's we know that we didn't have any really top of the ticket races, that no one really, the governor's race wasn't a real primary, there was no primary at the Senate race, and the average voter doesn't even know what Secretary of State does. So I mean that's part of it, but that's a really low turnout. Really low turnout is not a good thing for us. I mean, that's why you lose midterms. We lose midterms because our turnout is low. And, that's the one thing I've been reiterating constantly to the Vivek team, is that we need to find ways to energize our base.
We absolutely do have to find ways to energize the base. That is such a crucial component here, absolutely crucial, and that's something I've been saying as long as well. Like, we got to get the grassroots people. We got to get some new blood in. We play a lot of musical chairs with, especially with the statewide positions, but also the state house and the state senate and everything. So, Yeah, we've got to get an influx of excitement, and that's not the easiest thing to do. All right, hang on one second. I got this. We got Hillary. I got to bring Hillary in. She's been waiting real. Look at that. She was ready to leave. I caught you as you're going in your car to take off. We said, stop. How's it going?
It's going. I'm kind of like sitting at the edge of my seat here for this this treasurer's race, but I mean it's exciting. At least we can see that we have one race where it's not necessarily what we expected. It wasn't that we could we can't say that the RP rigged it or anything crazy like that. Where we can actually like say, okay, this is the person that the voters chose. So I'm really looking forward to the results of that. But one of the things that I kind of found pretty interesting tonight is that I'm looking at for the Ohio House District 61. It looks like we might have a little bit of an upset there, you guys. It looks like Andrew Brenner might be losing his seat to Sean Stevens.
Okay, hang on a second. We'll go to the General Assembly, and this is State Senate.
He was in the Senate, but his term is up there, so now he's going to the House like they like to do,
Okay, in which House district again? State Representative?
61.
61. Let me just go to 61 here real quick.
Now, there's been a lot of drama. There's been a lot of drama around Andrew Brenner's race down in Delaware County. There's been a lot going on. If you follow him or his wife on social media, it's constant. Every single day there's a post or some sort of travesty about this race, and I'm not sure what that plays into it, but I can say that I do have a relationship with Andrew Brenner, and I also met Sean Stevens. I think they are both fantastic guys, and but this is going to be interesting. Right now, it looks like Sean Stevens is leading at 54% of the vote.
Right, but then again, look at the low turnout. 3,600 votes. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
People are not
crazy.
voting.
It is crazy.
People are not voting.
Well, if you go to and then also if you go to the where am I at here? The state senator race, we might be losing Beth Lear too to what is his name? Ryan Rivers. Ryan Rivers is a newbie, and that's sitting around around at 54% too. So, I mean, those are two incumbents. Of course, they're swapping. Beth Lear was a representative, and now she's running for Senate. And
so, I'm sorry, which state Senate district again?
19. We're looking at a little bit of an upset there too.
Let's pull that one up here real quick. Okay, so you got Beth Lear and Ryan Rivers. This is a Senate district, so this is like 3 state rep districts equals 1 Senate district. And we got 11,000 people that voted. Yeah, that's close, but yeah, you're right. Beth Lear is a little bit behind. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was just kind of shocking to see these newbies coming in pretty strong over some strong incumbents. I mean, Beth's been serving for a really long time, and so has Andrew Brenner. Both have served in committees. I think both even had quite a few pieces of legislation moved forward this year, this past year. So I'm a little surprised with both of those races, but looking forward to seeing what the rest of the night brings.
All right, let me get George, you're out there. Hey, what's your thoughts on this low turnout, and do you have any other thoughts you come to mind?
Well, I think it's pathetic. Like Shannon said, a lot of people don't even know what the Secretary of State does, but they probably know LeBron James's statistics from high school going forward, stuff like that.
Exactly.
And I really hate it. They say, well, we need to motivate people, and people aren't interested in politics, and politics doesn't affect me. Well, when they brainwash your children and grandchildren at school, when your roads are so bad that your teeth chatter, when taxes are so high you're going to get foreclosed out of your house. Oh, I forgot the Indians are playing tonight. The citizens are either the citizenry, they're either very slow on the uptake, or maybe they're just satisfied with the status quo, the way things are. Yeah, my kids will muddle through school. Yeah, they'll eventually fix the roads. Yeah, I plan to move to a apartment anyhow. Might as well sell my house. On and on and on. I mean, you could give 5 to 10 examples of, high gas prices, the war, regulations, all kind of things. And I have clients that are doing very well. And like Ronald Reagan said in the 1980s, those that have the most to lose, and I'm just paraphrasing, I'm not as articulate as President Reagan was, those who have the most to lose are the ones who do the least for freedom and liberty. And I have a ton of clients. And, they're just happy. Their kids graduate from college. They got a good job. They got a car. They bounce their grandkids on their knees. They keep forgetting that they send them off to school, and they get brainwashed in LGBTQism and all kind of different things. But hey, so the citizenry have gotten very fat, sloppy, and stupid.
All right, but we're seeing it more on the Republican side than we are on the Democrat side, as far as, of course, this is the early votes.
Joe, there are two factors at play here. Number one, we all know historically that during a midterm election, the party with the presidency typically underperforms. So you expect to see our party holding the White House having lower turnout in a midterm election. That is a headwind that history tells us we have to be prepared to beat. And then locally in Ohio, I think the pushback, in particular from the state legislature on the abolition of property taxes, has really hurt the Republican brand. We're here to cut taxes. And when you tell people, no, eat your broccoli, pay your taxes, I'm sorry, that's not popular. And if we see lower turnout, that's going to be a big piece of the puzzle tonight.
Yeah, I think so. Also, Hillary, if you find any other state or House races that seem unusual, or even state Central Committee races or anything, let me know, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll hop off here and then I'll hop back on as soon as I get home. But I wanted to say, to George's point, a lot of the things that I do, especially with education, it's kind of one of those things where the conversations that I have is ignorance is bliss. These people, they don't want to know how bad it is, because what they don't know doesn't hurt them as far as they know, right? But I can speak for myself and a lot of the other grassroots people. It's, you don't really know how bad it is until you get in, and then it's like opening a can of worms. And you can never get all the worms back in. It changes your life dramatically as soon as you really even just dip your toe in a little bit and you find out what's really going on. Life will never be the same. And if you're a decent human being, you'll never be able to go back to the way things were. So it's a lot of the reason why it's hard to engage the new generation. And sometimes the people in the middle, like your independents, it's hard to get them engaged, because they honestly, they don't want to know, because they don't want to be mad or upset or scared all the time, because things can be as bad as they seem, if not worse.
Or they don't want to get off their
asses
and do something. They don't want to be disturbed, because they may have to say, gee, I got to do something about this.
Exactly. Because if they have any sort of a conscience, they won't be able to just sit there anymore. So really, I mean, ignorance is bliss for a lot of these folks. And frankly, like I said, I don't blame them, because of a lot of things that I went through personally, but you can't go back. Once you know, there's no way you can go back.
Right.
That's true. I agree completely. I say they want to believe the comforting lies as opposed to the unpleasant truths. Yes. And I've experienced the same thing, Hillary. Once you pull back the curtain and you see that the truth, you're saying this cannot stand. And I do not want our 250-year experiment to be over, but unless the average citizen starts to stand up and start to recognize what's happening with our country, we are going to lose it. So I agree completely with George. Most people, they're more concerned about their team being down by 10 at halftime. Unfortunately, it's the old Roman circus. Bread and circus.
Brian, I just want to share, as the chairman of America 250 for Lake County, Ohio, it's my sincerest wish. I know it's a lot to ask for, and it's probably a little too much to ask for, but I hope that 50 years from now, I'll be able to witness the tricentennial. Now, I'd be 92 years old, but I sincerely hope that 50 years from now, we'll be standing together with an even stronger state, an even stronger country, an even stronger Lake County, Ohio. And that's not going to happen on its own. I know that, but that's why we're involved. That's why you're listening in and watching tonight. That's why Ohio Political News exists. That's why we have the movement to abolish property taxes. It's because we care about the future, not just today and whether we take care of ourselves, but we care about passing this torch of freedom to the next generation so that 50 years from now, this country is stronger and better and greater than it ever was before.
Hallelujah.
And John, all I could
Yeah.
say to that is in 50 years, you'll be 92. I'll only be 87. So we could have a drink together.
I'll have you all be.
Okay, here. 50 years from now, we're all getting together at the Corner Bar. The Corner Bar.
All right, I'll see you guys soon.
In Strongsville. The Corner
All
Bar in
right, see ya.
Strongsville. We're all going to get in there at that.
Hey,
All right,
Joe, can
Shannon.
I mention something else?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, there was a chat. Someone put on the chat, how are the property taxes doing? Well, I did an inquiry, and I can't find one that did not pass. And even Mentor, I think Mentor had a 4.9, and it, according to this website, it has passed. So people are funding their own demise, and they just don't know it.
Well, but this
Yeah.
morning I listened to Jake Underwood, and he said there were 6 pages of levies for schools or just general taxes in the state of Ohio. 6 pages. I don't know if that's double space, but that's a heck of a lot of levies. And the people, that's my other contention. People love socialism generically.
Yeah, they do.
So
They
Brian,
do.
can
And,
I ask
they-
what website you're pulling your data from? Because I'm watching the Lake County Board of Elections, and right now we got 25 of 45 precincts in for the Mentor school levy, and the levy is down 54.28 to 45.72%. Now, maybe somebody's
Well,
already told.
I hope you're totally right on that. But again, I'm just I just typed in about the school levy results, and that's what it's showing. But I hope you've got let's say fresher numbers than what I'm looking at, John.
I mean, I humbly admit that it's possible for people to go to each polling place, pull that ticker tape, and add up the numbers. So if someone is really determined, like they're on a levy committee or you're working for a campaign, sometimes they'll have the results before the Board of Elections, but not most of the time.
All right, here we go to District 9. Again, I'm really amazed. Only 17,000 people have voted, and this is a congressional district. This is the one we're talking about where we can unseat Marcy Kaptur once and for all. Derek Marin is clearly pulling ahead on this one. Any surprises there? Shannon, is that a surprise in any way to you? See that?
No, I mean, I think that, Derek had a lot of name recognition from the first campaign. As I said it earlier, I haven't cited much on this race, but that's part of it, and it's really, really low turnout. Again, I mean, there's no way to put it any other way. That at least from the early vote, which is what most of these returns are. At least I was just looking at the 13 again, and there's only a couple hundred votes that are not the early vote votes in the 13th right now. So I didn't see what the baseline was for the 9th. Did you guys pick up how many votes were in for early vote in the 9th? You guys remember?
No. No.
Regardless, it looks like Derek's going to run away with that. That's going to be clearly a Derek Marin victory tonight. I mean, he's ahead by 22 points over Josh Williams.
Yeah, he's got almost twice the amount of votes as
That's right.
Williams. It's just, he's going to take it. He's going to take it. Now, he can't come up with the excuse that he did 2 years ago. Said and bragging about the fact that he lost by 2,300 votes, and we don't want to hear that. He's better win by 2,300 votes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very small race, but it's one that's been watched pretty closely in Northeast Ohio. You might remember former Riverside School Board member Scott Fischel lost his reelection, attempted to fire Dr. Rattino, the superintendent, and put solar-powered lights on a rubber roof on the school buildings right before he left. Ultimately, there was some lawsuits, there were some emergency injunctions, and nothing changed before he left office. But it was definitely one of the big stories in Northeast Ohio, particularly given that Scott had appeared in U.S. Senator Bernie Moreno's commercials in his last campaign. So Scott, very well-known Republican, being challenged by Lake Tran trustee Dion Demetrio for his Republican County Central Committee seat, with all precincts in 73 to 70 votes. Dion wins by 3.
Won by how many?
3 votes, 73 votes to 70. So that's actually a 2% win based on only 143 votes total cast, but she won over Scott Fischel by a margin of 3 votes.
Unreal. Wow.
Never let it be said every vote doesn't count, because it does.
It absolutely does. Here's the Supreme Court race. And what do we got? Colleen O'Donnell is still leading, but Andrew King is right there, 32 to 29%. The early votes are just about done. 86 of 88 counties have reported for the early vote, but that is a close one. Let's see. Oh, by the way, is there another person in the Zoom? Because I have an iPhone, and I'm trying to figure out who that is, if there is another person. Oh, wait, there it is, Jason. Jason, good to see you. What? Why didn't you speak up? Or were you? Maybe I couldn't hear you.
No, I wasn't speaking up. I was letting the guys talk. I was letting them get out all of their systems. So, I wish there was a bigger come out of this race. I wish there was a bigger turnout. But right now, in the state of the Republican Party, I think I'm not surprised with it. The Republican Party endorsed several people too early, and it really took people by surprise why they endorsed people so early. I think it was the Republican Party's fault. That's just my opinion. They endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy too early, and we all knew Vivek was going to win. But at the same time, they endorsed him so fast, it really rubbed people the wrong way. And I think the Republican Party only focused on one race and one race only, and that was the governor's race. They weren't talking about really issues that actually matter. They weren't talking about property taxes. They weren't talking about school levies. They weren't talking about anything, and it really rubbed the voters the wrong way. And that's why we're seeing the low outturn tonight. So hopefully more numbers come in, but I mean, it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, Jason. Jason is Generation Z, and I love having you on the show because I want to hear your perspective. I want to hear that perspective from a young guy, 20 years old or whatever. And so give me, if you would, for a minute, because I'm always talking to people 2, 3, 4 times your age. But give me your understanding here for a minute, because the low turnout, there was not a lot of excitement generated. You feel that was because Sturbich and Sprague, there was an endorsement in that race, and Ramaswamy and Poots, there was an endorsement. Is that what you're saying, or is there other factors? Just so I understand.
Yeah, so I think they only focused on Vivek's race. They really said 1 or 2 things about Robert Sprague, but it wasn't really big. I think they only focused on Vivek. They were always saying rise and rally. That was their motto this year, but they weren't really rallying. They weren't really rising up and taking the initiative. You had Gabe Gernerini from Turning Point Action going out and doing more action than the Republican Party itself. You had all these people, they were doing Lincoln Day dinners, they were doing all these different things, but how many people were actually going out there and door knocking? How many people were actually going out there and talking to the people that are going to vote? Because out of that, they were only doing Lincoln Days. I never saw Vivek going door knocking. I never saw Rob McCauley door knocking. I could be wrong. But at the same time, people have to be face to face outside of a dinner. I would love if Vivek would knock on doors in Troy. I would love for Rob McCauley to knock on doors in Troy. But the true reality is they don't really care about meeting face to face, because they can go to dinners, they can be the keynote speakers, but if they're not the center of attention, I'm sorry, but this is true, and this is what my generation sees. If you are just going out there getting your name across on a stage, it doesn't show anything. It shows that you're only out there to get fame, and that's it. Mike DeWine was asked about Vivek, and the question was, do you think he's doing it to be actual governor or to get somewhere else? And Mike DeWine said a bit of both. So if the current governor, which he's an F-, he graded horribly, he was a horrible governor. If the current governor says, oh, I think he's doing a bit of both, my generation sees, oh, he's just going to governor so he can get to a federal level job, and that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about the people of Ohio. He only cares about getting to that next stop.
I hear you. Yeah, I love hearing from you and stuff like that. I want to ask Shannon a question. Shannon, you got a lot of knowledge, and you run a great Strongsville GOP out there. That thing is fantastic. But what's causing this anemicness with the younger generation? We got a guy on here, 20 years old, Jason, and he's not happy with the party. Do you agree with what he's saying? I mean, what can we do? We got to do something, right? We got to do something, I think. You might be muted. You might be muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Jason, I think you're right. I mean, I'll take the hit on that, on the early endorsement of Vivek. We knew going into it that was going to be the outcome, right? We knew that the downside of doing the early endorsement of Vivek was that it was going to, it was going to turn off people. It was going to reduce turnout in the primary. But I think it's important to understand. I mean, I'll address that question. That first, you didn't ask me, but I'll address it anyways. And then, Joe, I'll answer your question on what we really think about this turnout topic. But the reason why the state party, the reason why we endorsed it, and don't let anyone fool you for a minute that the establishment was the reason why Vivek got endorsed. The reason why Vivek got endorsed is because guys like Joe and me and the conservatives on the committee made the decision, the really tough decision between two of our core principles, not endorsing in primaries and finally ridding the party of the DeWine Kasich, parasites that have been harming our efforts for decades now. And what we all knew at the time, and it became true, was that DeWine was going to do anything he could to hold on to power. He was going to get his guy into the race and try to take on Vivek, take on the Trump endorsement. And Vivek was going to win anyways, even if he came in. But this was the opportunity to tell DeWine, this is the end. The party is going to stand up and say, there's no more. And I'll tell you what, right now, while I will definitely take the hit and recognize that there was a negative side effect for that early endorsement, the one thing I will tell you is because we endorsed Vivek is why everyone gets a choice for Supreme Court tonight. Because had we just rolled over and let the DeWine factions steamroll this and allow the no endorsement to happen, which is what the DeWine folks were working so hard to do, then DeWine would have had his pick again in August and picked Fisher as his endorsed candidate for Supreme Court, and we wouldn't have had a a primary, because if the state party would have endorsed in the primary for Supreme Court, it would have been over. Everyone else would have dropped out of the race, because you can't raise money in the Supreme Court race. So that would have absolutely been the case. I think still today, I know the downside, I know the trade-off that happened, but I still think that the positive outcome of having a primary in the Supreme Court race and putting the line in the sand saying, nope, that's the end of the era. Yeah, we're not going to have that crew running this party anymore. That was more important than the negative outcome that came from it. I'm going to pause for a second and get your thoughts on that before I tell you about my thoughts on the other parts of the low turnout.
So, are you calling Casey Putsch a DeWine pick?
I got to recognize Casey was not even anywhere in the picture. At the time that we were doing this, Casey wasn't a guy. If a guy like Casey was in the race, we wouldn't have endorsed. It wouldn't have happened if a guy like Casey was in the race. No, DeWine was going to put Tressel in.
Oh, okay. Okay.
DeWine
I just wanted to make sure.
pushing hard to put Tressel in the race, and in fact, honestly, I don't know if I don't want to speak for Joe because I can't remember for sure, but there were 6 conservatives on the committee that changed their votes in the last 24 hours because we had told them, guys, DeWine's going to come out and he's going to have Tressel do a press conference and tell everyone he's thinking about getting in the race. And they're like, yeah, no, there's no way. Vivek's got this wrapped up. There's no way that's going to happen. And then sure enough, on Thursday, our meetings are on Friday. On Thursday night, 5 o'clock, whatever it was, Tressel does an interview on the NBC affiliate in Columbus and says, I'm thinking about getting in the race. And everyone's like, holy crap, that's exactly what everyone said was going to happen. And then they all flipped over and decided to vote to endorse Vivek. So that was the reason for that inside the committee was to tell all of those folks that thought that DeWine Kasich era could hold on and control the party beyond DeWine's term in office. That was the end of that. And that worked. And that's how we were able to block the endorsement in August of Supreme Court. So no, this had nothing to do with Casey. If Casey would have been in the race, it would have been a different discussion. But no one else was talking about it. And Dave Yost was looking for a way out at that point. He had stopped being able to raise money. So he was done anyway. So he just used the state parties as an excuse to get out, but he was out anyways.
Yeah.
Guys, here's the Supreme Court numbers here. I want to throw this in real quick. So all of the early votes have been cast. And we have, Colleen O'Donnell. She took the early vote. Jill Lanzinger and Ron Lewis have kind of faded back. Andrew King he's still there. He's within striking distance. We'll have to see how everything progressed on the day of today, how today's voting took place. But that's a little. I find that a little surprising, but not much. I felt any one of those 4 could have won that state race for Supreme Court. I really felt any one of the 4 could have pulled it off. And,
well, once again, the top 2 that we predicted were Colleen O'Donnell and Andrew King. So I think our panel's been on point tonight. I want to give a quick update from Geauga County. They're only 12 of 79 precincts in, so the night is young. But it is kind of surprising to see that Dr. Steve Olick, formerly dean at Lakeland Community College, is currently leading Jim Dvorak, the incumbent county commissioner, by almost 300 votes. Now, once again, we have less than 25% of the vote in. There's a long way to go. But to see an incumbent down at all for any point of the night is something to note. Chuck Walder, the county auditor, is leading his challenger, Joe DeBoth, by about 300 votes. And in the 3-way race for judge, we see Abby King Mueller leading with 1,664 votes, followed by Kate Jacob in second with 1,254, and Stephanie Heitzebashan Anderson in last place with 749 votes. Obviously, a lot of votes to count in Geauga, but it's pretty shocking to see that in the war between the commissioners, where Commissioner Spitaleri backed Dr. Olick against his incumbent colleague, Commissioner Dvorak, who also had the support of Commissioner Brakey. In the war between Spitaleri, Brakey, and Dvorak, right now, Spitaleri's candidate, Dr. Olick, is up by about 300 votes.
All right, very good. Thanks for those updates, John. Yeah, if we have any other updates. So Jason, let's just wrap this here. Are you got any aspirations for running for State House or something? You should. You definitely should.
Hey, I'm only 20 years old, not married, and definitely don't have kids. So I got to start my life off first. Here, I want to send a message to our current Senator John Husted really fast. If you want to hold your seat in November, you have a real challenger against Sherrod Brown. You better get out there and you better start meeting with people, because you haven't been in Miami County, you haven't been in your hometown of Montgomery County, you haven't been anywhere, and you haven't been seen. You are turning into a Democrat meme like Biden. You are running your campaign in the basement. Get out, meet with people. If you don't want that job, why are you there? Start meeting with people and taking your job seriously. That's the biggest one. My generation sees that you're not there, so get involved. Talk to people. Go to county fairs in the summertime. Meet with people. I cannot stress that enough. I'm 19 years old. I help my current state representative, Jonathan Newman, so much. I meet with people every single day on his behalf sometimes. He is out there constantly working. Yes, I get you're a busy man in Washington, but Bernie Moreno has time to meet with people, so you should too. Once again, constantly work, because this challenger is the biggest challenge that you'll ever have to face in your entire life. And Sherrod Brown, we cannot take him lightly. We cannot take the Democrats lightly. If this is the results tonight, where Republicans show low outcome, where Republicans show low turnout, Ohio could flip purple in the actual election. So we better take it serious, because if we don't, we're just going to hand it over to the Democrats. And we cannot do that, because we see what happens when Democrats run office. Taxes go up, prices go up, morality goes straight down, and they just try to strip everything away from us. So Senator John Husted, get out there. That's my message as a 19-year-old kid from the state of Ohio.
Awesome. You should be working for his campaign.
No, I couldn't do that. I could not do that.
Okay, well, that's fine. Hey, Jason, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
If you're not ready now, what about tomorrow? You can start running tomorrow. But do
hey,
it.
I'm gonna keep it in the hands of my trusted representative, Jonathan Newman. He's doing a fantastic job. He has a challenger in November. She's not a strong candidate. She's running as a person that just hates the man. And we see what happens every time you hate a man just because how he votes. And every time people run on the characteristic of, I hate Donald Trump, so I'm going to vote for them. It's not working anymore. People are tired of it. People need to find a better outcome. People need to find a better result. Because if you just go on the, I hate Donald Trump card, it's not going to work. And same thing goes with Republicans. If you want people to get out there and turn out well, stop running on the card that I voted for President Donald Trump 3 times. No one cares about it. Donald Trump's not running the state of Ohio. Donald Trump's running this country. We need to run the state of Ohio. So stop running on the card and start running on platforms.
You said it. You said it very well. Better than I could have said it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of truth there, too. I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that. I don't know. George, you want to comment? I haven't heard from you for a while. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I think the new mantra is the affordability index. Yeah, not that the left hates Trump and the right I voted for him 3 times. It's affordability, it's jobs, it's crime. I think President Trump has done a good job on the crime issue, deploying the National Guard. So yeah, all these things affect. I mean, in my neighborhood in beautiful Ohio City, in a half a block area, I had 3 people murdered, 60 cars broken.
That's no laughing matter, but I'm laughing. But you don't really live in Ohio City. That's where you work. You don't live there. You work there.
I didn't say I lived. I didn't say I lived there. I worked there. My office is there, right between St. Ignatius High School and the West Side Market. Obviously, Joe, you know where I'm at. I mean, you attend our meetings down there. But 60 cars broken into, graffiti. So, yeah. But again, what's his name, Mayor Bibbles elected with 75% of the vote in a low turnout race. And then you get some bozos like, oh, he went to Martha's Vineyard, spent $50,000 with security and all that. Let's impeach him. He won with 75% of the vote. You always get these people like Don Quixote tilting at windmills. We need to be practical. We need to be a little bit more fluid. And getting back to these stupid inside Republican fights, good is not the enemy of perfect. The only time good is the enemy of perfect when it comes to Jesus Christ, because he is perfect. But other times, yeah, I mean, I keep saying if I wanted to vote for a great candidate, I'd have to run myself. But even then, I'd have questions. So I don't know.
Yeah, you're not sure. That's
I just wanted to,
would I vote for myself or not if I ran? That's the
Yeah,
question.
I don't know.
Hey, I just wanted to say one more thing before I have to hop off of here. One thing is very sure. People need to start running on their biblical principles. Sometimes it may not go well, but at the same time, you have to stay true to your roots. You better not hide your views or your biblical faith base, because if you start losing that, then you're going to lose the entire election. You're going to lose every morality scope. You have to put Christ first. And our apparently current governor, he's gonna have a challenge in November. But Vivek, I'm calling him current because I have faith in him. But he also needs to answer for some of the things that he said in the past. I get that he's Hindu. I get that he's not a Christian like I am. But you have to also realize that the demographic of Ohio is very prominently Christian based. And when that clip came out saying he doesn't believe that Jesus is the son of son of God, that's a big thing, because the only way, here it is. I'm a Christian. I'm a solid Christian. I believe that the two ways to get into heaven is repenting of your sins and believing in the gospel. The gospel, the good news that God sent his only son into the world to die on the cross for our salvations, for our sins. And him saying, I don't believe that's the main way to get into heaven. That's a big, way off topic. The only way is by professing your faith toward Jesus Christ. But that's my last message. Right. I do have to get off of here. I do have a call, but God bless you all. And hopefully in November, we can get back at it and we can say that the Republicans kept Ohio.
All right. Yeah. Don't be a stranger. Stay in touch with us.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, God bless you all.
All right. God bless, man. Let me ask Shannon a question here, and anybody else can. So, he's preaching the gospel a little bit there. I love it. He's young, on fire. Boy, he is what we need in the State House. But how much of a problem do you think that would be for Vivek going forward with his Hinduism? Do you think that's an issue at all? Or
we're going to find out, aren't we? I was looking at the returns by county. I do find it interesting, the counties that Vivek was underperforming in. I think it's worth checking out and spend some more time on. I did it when it was a little bit too early on, quite frankly. But it's a great question, Joe, and it's one that I just can't know yet. When you look at a candidate like Donald Trump, at least in 16, 15 when he was running, he didn't have. I tend to believe that I think he's found Jesus in the terrible life circumstances that the left has put him into, but I don't think that we saw that type of a conversation at all about any belief system at all in 16. But yet evangelicals were some of his biggest supporters. And I think that has a lot to do with what he was about, what he was attempting to get done in our nation. So that does transcend. I mean, the religious beliefs of a candidate does transcend. The voting preference transcends the religious beliefs. So, is it a sure thing? No, but I don't know the answer, and I don't know that anyone could know the answer just yet as to how much that's going to affect it. One thing I can tell you is, no matter what Amy Acton would say, there is no way that I would believe her to be a Christian in the way that she thinks about the power of government and how she would use power against the people. There are so many biblical references in the overuse by both the religious leaders in the time and the government leaders of the time, and clearly the Bible speaks in many ways to that topic. So comparing the two, I do think that there's a lot of motivation on our side against Amy Acton.
Oh, without a doubt. Oh my gosh, we haven't unleashed the storm that we're going to unleash on Amy Acton right after this. And Vivek has a ton of money. He's got a ton of money. The advertising is just going to be like a tidal wave. This lady comes unhinged. This woman, we could talk all day about Amy Acton, but what did she do? From what I understand, she only had residency in medical school. She never was really like a doctor. She was like, you're a doctor, but you're under the scrutiny and everything in residency. And after that, she became a grant writer for Ohio State University. So it's really a head scratcher as to why DeWine chose her. And she was also helping the Obama campaign as a volunteer. But still, why did DeWine pick her? That is a hell of a mystery. We don't have time to get into the head of DeWine. And thank God he's moving off to the sunset and we can get ourselves moving ahead in this state. This state needs a real shot in the arm. Let me get Brian. Brian, I haven't talked to you for a while.
Yeah, you mentioned you mentioned dollars and cents. I found a website, transparencyusa.org, and it talks about total contributions for Vivek Ramaswamy, $25.5 million. Amy Acton, total contributions, $10.5 million. Total expenditures for Ramaswamy was 19.7 million, and for Amy Acton 5.5. That's what this website is reporting, and that just sort of reinforces what you were saying, Joe. That he's collected a lot of money, and he spent a lot of money.
Joe, can I jump in with a quick couple local updates? Since our good friend Shannon Burns is here, and we all know he's a big supporter of our friend Doris Peters, she's a great friend of mine too. It's nice to see that she's leading 57 to 42% right now. So hopefully that trend continues, but it looks like Doris Peters is on her way back to the Republican State Central Committee.
Well, that's good news. I'm happy about that. I know Doris real well. That's good.
And we look at Geauga County, and now they have more than half the vote in, and Steve Olick's lead has grown. He's now up by 900 votes. And the race for auditor has closed with Chuck Walder only leading by about 150 votes. So it looks like Commissioner Spitaleri is having a good night so far, but there's still a lot of votes left to count in Geauga.
Yeah, I forgot how long it takes to actually get the winner. Because we started this at 7. I was thinking, we'll probably wrap up at 9, maybe 9:15. But I forgot. It just takes forever to get these votes in.
I'll tell you what, Joe, Cuyahoga County is terrible. I'm looking at that same race, and I've been watching that. I didn't care to jinx it, John, because there's only 23 precincts of 245 reporting. It's surreal. I will tell you, and Brian, of the 5 property tax issues in Cuyahoga County, even though almost no precincts are reporting election day vote, but early vote, of the 5, 3 of those are going down, and 2 that are in hardcore leftist communities are passing. So it's pretty interesting. Parma is going down, Independence is going down, and Strongsville is going down.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, that's all
Excellent.
the early voting, Shannon, did you say?
It's only early vote, with the exception of Parma that has 9 precincts reporting. All the rest are zero precincts reporting, because Cuyahoga County is just terribly efficient as a government organization that we usually have to wait till about midnight to get any results.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well,
yeah,
the good
Commissioner
thing is we're not in
Plechik was.
California. The good thing is we're not in California. Otherwise, the final results would be in about Memorial Day. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commissioner Pletchik was right. The Mentor School Board, with 29 of 45 precincts reporting, the levy is going down 54% to 45%. So that certainly is good news for the people in Mentor.
People
So,
are finally
I wanted to-
wising up. Finally wising up.
I want to
Vote
draw
no
your
on these
attention, Joe.
levies. Vote no on every levy out there. Yeah.
Hey, wanted to draw your attention, Joe, to the treasurer's race. So, what I think is interesting in this race right now is that if you go down and look by county on this, most of the counties where Jay Edwards had a significant lead are all 100% in now. Now, that's not exclusive. It's not every single county, but most of them where he had a significant lead, they're 100% in. And a fair amount of the counties that Rogner has a lead on. For instance, in Franklin County, in Cobb County, in look at the other ones here. Lake County, only 73% in. It's not exclusive across every one of these, but there are a fair number of the counties that Christina is actually ahead in that are very behind on their reporting. So that's an interesting piece. I mean, look at Summit County. One of her strongest areas is only 6% in. So I mean, I think that race is still not close to being decided. It's still fairly close overall. I mean, if you look at Wayne County, is still showing as 0% in Wayne County, and I think that she's ahead or started out ahead there as well. So I don't know. I think we're gonna be up for a while in figuring out where the treasurer's race ends up at.
Okay, so you bring up a really good point. You're saying that a lot of the locations that would favor Christina Rogner, they're lagging behind. Like Cuyahoga County might favor Christina Rogner.
Well, it does favor Christina Rogner, right?
Favor her, and that's a huge
early
county.
vote, she was up by 10 points.
And they're just slow getting the results in. That's a good point. That's a good point. Hey, let's read one of these for a heck of it. Put a chat up, Kent. Let's read it. One point is the candidate picked to run on the Republican ticket has to be able to beat the Democrat. That is also a very, very good point. So when you look at running a race, you have the best candidate, and Shannon, what you were saying before too is you have to be a good politician to win. And you were trying to make that distinction there with Marcel Sturbich. And you were saying that Marcel was very qualified for what he had to do, but he lacked political skill. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really fair to say is that he would be an excellent Secretary of State, but as a candidate, it seemingly lacked the willingness to do the work necessary to win. And what I mean by that is that, when it came time to the filing deadline, as just one example, it's not the only one that matters, but it's one of the things that matter in a race like this to run statewide, where it looks like we're going to have, somewhere around 800,000 or so people voted in the primary. I don't know exactly. We're going to find out. But you have to have funds in your account to be able to get your message out to those 800,000 people. Because if you don't, they're not going to know your name. There's only so many yard signs that you can have out to have people know who you are and what your message is, unless you can communicate with them. So in his case there, he supposedly filed with like 600,000 cash on hand, and Sprague filed with 1.8 million cash on hand in the January filing. But that was with, I think, like a $400,000 or $350,000 loan that Marcel took out from family. So realistically, he only raised like $200,000 last year. It sounds like a lot of people, especially if you're running for a state rep seat, that's a huge amount of money. But running statewide, that's spending 1/4 on every voter. You can't even send a piece of mail for a quarter. It's not that mail was going to be the case, but there's no way for him to be able to get his message out with that little amount. And as far as when the last time I checked, in the last fund reporting period, he hadn't spent any of that money. And I don't know if you, but I didn't see any digital ads for Marcel. I didn't see. I got a one text message. I think a day ago or so. But other than that, he just didn't spend any money. He didn't have any money to spend. So you can't win if people don't know who you are. Have never heard of you. You can't win.
No, it does take a lot of money. It takes a lot of money. I mean, he ran a good race without having a lot of money. He certainly did.
Well, well, hold on. That's what my point is, though. He ran a great grassroots operation, but didn't run a great race, right? Running a great race means doing all of the things necessary to win. Like, here's a perfect example. If the Indians had great bats but dropped every fly ball, they can't win. I mean,
okay, so you have right. It's offense, defense. It's the whole thing. It's the whole package.
You have to
pull it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we want great conservative candidates to win. We need to have great conservative candidates that are willing to put the work in and do what's necessary to win. And I always like to use this one analogy, right? Sure, most of us are college football fans. Or if you're not, then bear with me on this analogy. But college football a couple years ago instituted the targeting rule, right? And if you guys are paying attention to it, targeting, that rule is a terrible rule, right? It means that if a kid that's 18 years old who learned his whole life how to tackle went in with his head up to tackle and hit the quarterback or the receiver a little too high, he gets thrown out of the game. Well, that rule ruined the game of football. And you could hate that rule, but if you're the coach, you still have to go in, and that player still has to follow the rules. You can't just tell your boys, "Hey, that's a terrible rule. The game's wrong now, so just do it my way, and we're going to be fine." Well, all your kids would get thrown out of the game. You need to play the game as it's written today. We can change the rules from January to August, but when you're on the field, you got to play the game on the field. And part of that is having the resources to be able to go out and talk to people, calling and getting people to invest in your campaign, and just wasn't willing to do it. And that's unfortunate, because we need to have great candidates like Marcel be the standard bearer for our party.
You got it. Brian, I got a question for you, man. Did Judge David Engler lose? Or, is he losing badly?
Let me check that one out for you, and I will get back to you. All right, I haven't been on it, but I will look.
Oh, one other thing too. Just move your mic a little bit closer to you, if you could. Yeah.
Okay, will do. Hold on, I'll check it out.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm curious about that. He's a great judge, and we had him on the podcast Sunday night, and a great guy. Would like to see him win. Strong pro-life advocate and everything. So, all right. So, any kind of thoughts?
We
overall?
still have a great audience. I'm gonna, make sure to.
Oh,
also
wait! We forgot to give the $50 away. I forgot all about that.
The other reason.
Okay.
No,
we
have over 32
do it now.
Contestants and over almost 700 entries. Let's see who will get the win.
All right, how many?
$50.
Okay, now Kent is not cheating here, because if we hear the name Kent Koholski, I'm going to be suspicious.
Yep, I just got it.
All right. So we are giving a $50 Amazon gift certificate away. We had 32 people, right? 32 people that submitted the emails and things like that.
Over almost 700 entries, and we do have Jamie is the winner. I have the email. I'm going to send
name.
it out.
Give us the name. Give us the name. Jamie.
Yep.
Is there only one Jamie, or?
No, there's only one. I have the information, and
what city? Do you know? No, you may not know. We have emails we're working on.
No, I don't have that information, but so she is, or he,
is it a he or she?
Send out the
it could be either one.
I don't know. We'll go with whoever it is. Congratulations.
Okay,
We
so
will do this more.
You could probably
Next
give,
time we're going to do this, the next time we do this, we will have to have you guys on live where we'll redraw.
Okay, so
But
if we
for
do
the
this
first
again,
time we did not say that.
yeah, we do this
For the
again.
next time that we, yes,
No, I was going to say the same thing you were saying. Next time we do this,
yes.
they got to call in. They got to call in, and if they don't, we go to the next person. Maybe we'll do that. Have some fun with it. But yeah, okay, great. I'm glad. Jamie
Yep,
won.
she's and she is in the chat. She's a female. There she is.
She's in the
Okay,
chat.
we'll
Chat.
put it up.
Hey, Jamie, chat if you're watching.
Yeah. There
If
she
it's
is.
Jamie Coulter, it's me, and I'm a female. So it's really Jansky that won. Jansky, you're actually, is Jansky really Jamie?
I know Jamie Coulter.
Jamie Coulter.
We've got the results for you, Joe, whenever you're ready.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we've got, hold on, I just lost it. Engler is still behind, 47. I just had the results and it rebooted on me here. Yeah, he is losing 52% to 47%. He's 26,977 to 24,154.
Now, he's putting up a good fight. But there's no second place when it comes to
that's Commissioner
elections,
Plechnik's
unfortunately.
statement, yeah. That's too bad.
So George Satari, I thought you were going to be the winner for that $50, man.
It would just put me in a higher tax bracket if I passed.
I see. Yeah. Actually, I think the first one he drew was George Satari, and he tossed that away, and then it was Jamie.
I don't blame him. Hey, but I did get the results from Dakota Sawyer. Kerry Coleman has been declared the winner in his
Awesome.
primary.
Awesome.
And not to disparage it again. We have to build unity, but I was a little bit disappointed in Neil Patel on his Facebook post. He was actually urging Democrats and independents to cross over and vote for him. I thought that's what we're trying to stay away from. We're trying to keep, purity in the race for, party instead of this crossover nonsense. And he was urging people to cross over, and he finished fourth out of fifth.
Okay, well, it serves him right then. I'm not saying Neil did that. You are, but if anybody does that,
it was on his Facebook post.
Oh, it was on his Facebook page. Well, then he probably was doing it. Yeah, but you
unless
that's disgusting.
Little
disgusting.
leprechauns were, posting on his and commandeering his Facebook page. I don't know, but.
Oh, that's great. So Mr. Coleman won. The Mr. Radio. He's got the greatest voice I've ever heard. Kerry Coleman.
He does. He does.
I've got some bad news for Wycliffe residents. I was looking at the Wycliffe City School District proposed income tax, and with 9 precincts reporting for the tax 51.93%, against the tax 48.07. So it looks like the people in Wycliffe will be paying an earned income tax. I think it's 1%. I believe.
How can people be so dumb to do that, Brian? How can they be so dumb?
It's for the children. It's for the children.
For the children, yeah.
Who are dumber than a box of rocks, reading at 30% proficiency of grade level. So yeah, you can't beat that. Give them more money.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then 50% of middle schoolers in math are only 50% are proficient in math, and that's with lower standards too.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
It is
Mentor's still holding off on
one hell of a mystery. People just don't realize that they're upping their property taxes every time they do that. And more money throwing it at a problem like that is not going to solve anything with the public schools. They've got plenty of money. That is not the issue. They got plenty of money. Let's see here. Jay Edwards, 308,000. Christina Rogner, 269. And we have
Maybe next time Christina will think about coming on Ohio Political News, huh?
I don't know, maybe, but wow.
Yeah, but don't
Shannon,
forget.
what's that, George?
Don't forget, Jay Edwards had the endorsement of J.D. Vance, Bernie Marino, and I don't remember who the third person was, but he had some pretty heavy hitters endorsing him, even though originally he was part of the Blue 22. So, politics makes strange bedfellows.
Right.
Yeah, and he was supposed to come on the show tonight. He said he would. Now that he won, he probably isn't even going to talk to us anymore.
So have they called the race?
Well, no, it's not over yet, but he's slowly pulling ahead. His lead is increasing slightly. 64% of the precincts have reported. 64%. Now, all 88 counties for the absentee vote are in, and now we have 64% of today's precincts have reported in for today's vote. So it's getting close to the end. If she's going to pull it out, she's got to make some big strides here quickly.
Well, as I'm looking at this, Franklin County's at 56% reporting. She's up by 10 points in that one. Greene County, they're pretty well even. They're only 50% in there. Hamilton County is only at 38%, and Jay Edwards is up 10 points in that one. Let's just see if there's any other significant counties that are outstanding right now.
Hey, Joe, do we have a projection as to what will be the voter turnout percentage-wise statewide? Did the Secretary of State LaRose come up with a number?
Let's see. There's got to be it somewhere here.
I don't know if it's reported enough yet for them to be able to make that. Maybe they can.
They don't have that categorized. I don't know if we'll be able to find out tonight.
There's almost 7.9 registered voters. It says there's 7,896,000.
Yes.
So there's
we
only
have close to 8 million registered voters. What are they doing tonight? 8 million registered voters across the entire state. And some of these statewide races, they're not pulling very much.
My guess it'll be no more than 25%.
Yeah, I would guess. I agree with that. It'll be less than 25 in the Republican primary. That's my guess. Strongsville's turnout overall was at 34%.
Okay, 34%, huh? So, but you still got, if you have a 25% statewide turnout, 75% of the voters stayed home. 75%.
They're satisfied. They're satisfied with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the excuse? You've got 30 days before. You could vote by mail if you want, or you can go today and vote. And still, 75% did not show up to vote. Amazing.
What's amazing is I just mentioned Strongsville. Joe, we're sitting in the epitome of government efficiency in Cuyahoga County because 0 precincts reporting in Strongsville.
Wow. Okay.
Well, we're 2.5 hours after the polls have closed.
Wow. It's crazy. That's big. Strongsville's a big Republican stronghold, so we'll have to see what happens there. But all right, so where do we go from here? Let me just get a few thoughts here. Let me go to John. John, get out of your computer for a minute here. So where do we go from here? What's your prognosis on tonight for the Republican Party? Success, failure, what?
Lake County has always been a bit of a bellwether. We're 100% reporting, and we had about 26% turnout with definitely new Democrat registrants. The Democrats performed substantially better in this primary election than they have before. Still more Republicans voted than Democrats. So what does that project for Lake County? Pretty clearly, we're still a red county, and Republicans are going to have a strong advantage, but not as much as before. And for statewide candidates who count on red counties like Lake to put up huge double-digit margins for them, they might be taking single-digit wins from Lake County, which is going to make their path to a win statewide harder. You look at the levies in Lake County, there were 3 major levies: an income tax levy for Paynesville schools, income tax levy for Wickliffe schools, and property tax levy for Mentor schools. The income tax for Wickliffe passed, which is going to make it hard for Wickliffe to retain higher income people in their community going forward, because they're going to have the highest income tax rate in the county and really in the general area. It's going to be tough for their local economy. It'll be interesting to see that experiment on a city basis. But the income tax failed narrowly in Paynesville, and the property tax levy failed in Mentor. And so to see 2 of the 3 major new levies fail in Lake County shows that there is a real change in the way people are voting and approving new taxes. I think this is the most anti-tax I have seen Ohio as long as I've lived here. And I think that trend is going to continue into November and into next year. So it's looking like tougher headwinds for Republicans, but also tougher headwinds for higher taxes. So my advice to Vivek Ramaswamy, to Senator Husted, to our standard bearers, is it's time to remember Republicans are here to cut taxes. We're going to have to play to our base to get them to turn out. They did not turn out this time, but people are clearly still PO'd about taxes, and the candidates who take that up are going to win.
Yeah. But there's still a lot of levies that passed, unfortunately. There's still a lot. I don't know if more passed than failed. I hope more failed, but there's still a lot that are passing, and it's just crazy. You know, the same people that say, I want to abolish property taxes, are the same ones that come along and pass another school levy. I don't know what the deal is. Let's see what's happening here. It looks like the Sylvania school levy is going down in flames. Sylvania, the Sylvania School District. That's good. That's good. That is very good. All right. What's happening with the Supreme Court? Colleen O'Donnell is still winning. 2 percentage points up, though. So it's close. That is a tight one. That's going to go right down to the wire. It looks to me like that is probably the only statewide race that we can be concerned with, because it looks like the others, and even if I go to the treasurer's race, this one is not that close anymore. 53 to 46. And we're almost 70% reported in for today's voting.
I'm not going to lie, Joe. I love Jay Edwards. I love the fact he came out publicly during his campaign without even being asked and said, I am for abolishing property taxes. This man stepped up big time. He was rewarded for it. And I think that state senators like Christina Rogner are going to have to look in the mirror and say, should we be passing our own property tax bill to abolish property taxes now? Should we be joining the movement together today? Because the people are not responding favorably to the state legislature. I think this race, too, is a referendum there. You have one candidate who said, I'm for abolition, the other very clearly not. How's it ending?
Yeah, and I agree with you. There's such a thing as playing it too safe, too, as a candidate, that nobody can really warm up to you. Nobody knows you're out there. You become too vanilla. You're afraid you're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And I think Christina Rogner played not to lose a lot. And Jay Edwards just said, "To hell with it. I'm going full tilt." I think you do get rewarded for doing it, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more, Joe. I mean, I was really surprised how Christina's campaign was not aggressive.
Right.
She had all of the reason to win and did not use it.
I know, and that comes back to haunt you. And how many times do you watch a sporting event, and the team that has the lead goes into that prevent defense, and then they lose the game? You see it all the time because the other team is like, well, I'm just going to start throwing these bombs, and we're going to see what happens. Throw caution to the wind, and boom, they end up winning. So there's a little bit of that, yeah. But if you play it too vanilla, you're afraid to offend anybody, that's not good. I will say the one thing with Jay was he did jump on board with the abolishment of the property taxes, which, of course, this group here was in huge favor of, but a lot of people were. But, when you're sticking your neck out and saying, this is what I'm for, people warm up to you. They may not agree with everything you're saying, but they warm up to you as, hey, you're authentic. I think that a little bit of that was lacking with Christina Rogner, that you just couldn't really find the authenticity with her. That's just my opinion. I don't know. All right. So what do we got? It's pulling away more and more as I go to here that more and more that Jay Edwards is going to win. Okay. And then if we go to the there are no other statewide offices that are close, but if we do go to this one is pretty close. 2% separating them. 30% of today's vote is still outstanding. That's going to be interesting. Andrew King is biting his fingernails right now. How much does this also play into the fact that you had 4 people running? It's just a thought.
Sure.
You're throwing in 4 people. Somebody there's grabbing a lot of your votes or whatever. So it makes it tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Jill Lanzinger and Ron Lewis are almost identical in votes. That is interesting. Not sure what it says, but it's very interesting. And Colleen and Andrew are almost identical. And I don't know of the 30% that's still out there, what districts and who it would favor. Guess we'll find out pretty soon. But that's a close one. I don't know if you guys are aware of any other races. Are there any, let's say, state house races? Anything from the General Assembly? State Senate races or state rep races?
Well, I know the Jim Hoops Raydell race has been close all night, almost 50-50, and that's going to be a really interesting one.
Okay, what number is that, John? Is that a state rep race or state Senate?
That is state Senate.
And who was it again?
That's Hoops Raydell, and they are 50-49. I mean, they are right tied now.
Look at that. Wow. Okay, I haven't followed this district very closely. Who is the incumbent, or are they both?
Neither. Neither.
Okay.
It's an open district. Jim Hoops is a state rep, and Craig Rydell was planning on running for Congress, I think in Amelia Sykes' district. But after redistricting, he said, I don't think this is a very Republican district, and he shifted to the state Senate instead.
I got you. Wow. Can we have a discussion on that, and like you guys to chime in a little bit, but the discussion is, did they do the right thing in redrawing those maps?
No.
All right, why?
This is just another example of how the Republicans in Columbus sell us out, at midnight in the smoke-filled room. We should be drafting a map with 1 or 2 Democrat districts in Ohio and turnabout what they did in Virginia. We shouldn't be drafting a map that, if anything, is more favorable to Democrats than the last one. I mean, we've literally drawn maps that invite the Democrats to challenge our seats and make it harder for us to challenge theirs. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that some people on the redistricting committee are working for Democrats.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really disappointed with the map making because they took District 13 and Massillon, Ohio is Republican. Half of it went to 13, half of it went to 14. Half of it went to Dave Joyce, who's like a plus 30 Republican. Well, what they did to appease the Democrats is they gave all of Massillon to Dave Joyce. And the half of Massillon that was in that district is no longer there. And then they threw, for good measure, they threw Kent, Ohio in, which is all Democrat. And Streetsboro, they had a Streetsboro, which is somewhat Republican, leans Republican, but it just wasn't enough. It's a tough district. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? Let me ask Shannon, any thoughts on that, man? The map districting.
So here's the story I heard, is that the Trump White House actually called and said that we have to take 2, the 2 seats that we got the improvement on. I agree, John, that, it seemed like we had the opportunity for 3, but I guess, and we'll have to go back and check the actual rule because I don't remember at this point what it is, but the rule was that if they couldn't get the votes to solidify the map right now, then the Dems were going to go and file a petition, a citizen petition to get it on the ballot. And the minute that they filed it, it would have set the maps frozen from the last time. So effectively speaking, that because we're going to pick up at least 1 seat, probably only 1 seat, arguably we should be picking up 2, but we're probably only going to pick up 1 seat. Because of that, had we gone forward with picking up 3 seats, which, the numbers are there, we should have been able to do it, that procedurally they would have had the ability to freeze those seats until 28 or 30. I can't remember which one it would have been. But I can go research and figure out what the facts were on that. But that's why the Trump White House called and asked them specifically to only do the 2 seats.
Okay, so the 2 congressional districts, I know one of them is District 9, which we, Marcy Kaptur, we have to win that. Well, what's the other one?
The one down in Cincinnati.
So we did make that more Republican? Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that one got more Republican. That one did. And the Sykes district got more Democrat.
Right, yeah. Sykes got a little more Democrat. All right, so at least if we could take 2, I won't feel so bad. If we could take 2 congressional seats. Okay, John Pleshnik, any thoughts here? Any thoughts on what?
Well, once again, I think we're.
No. Hang on a minute. Hang on a second. I'll let you talk, but somebody was chatting, and they asked you a question. What is it? We need politicians who are not afraid to fight illegals with policy. I hear you. I hear you. All right. I don't see too many. Is Ohio expected to redraw the maps again? They're set. The maps are set to what, 2030, I believe, right?
You're right.
Okay, we'll have one more election. After this one, we'll have one more.
Holy cow, guys! We have 100%, 100% in for Geauga, and Steve Olick has defeated incumbent Commissioner Jim Dvorak by more than 1,100 votes.
Wow.
And
Wow.
right now, Joe DeBoff, who I believe is the treasurer of the Geauga County Republican Party, is leading the incumbent county auditor, Chuck Walter, by 4 votes. That's going to recount.
Wow.
You think? 4
I mean,
votes?
Chuck Walter is a name out in Geauga. To see
Wow.
the man who beat Grandel down 4 votes, this is a shocking result. This is a shocking result. And in
4
the judge's
votes.
race, it's clear now that Abby King Mueller is going to take Judge Grendel's court, which is the probate juvenile court in Geauga. She has basically a 1,500 some vote lead over second place Kate Jacobs. So it looks like the 3 big races in Geauga go to Abby King Mueller for probate juvenile court judge. County Commissioner is clearly going to Dr. Steve Olick, former dean at West Point and Lakeland Community College. And right now, too close to call, but a 4-vote lead in the unofficial results for Joe DeBoff over current incumbent auditor Chuck D. Walder.
Yeah. DeBoss was at our the Geauga County discussion yesterday, so we got to meet him. And Commissioner Plechnik, I'm just wondering what Carolyn Brakey is thinking about right about now, if Dvorak ends up losing. That's going to put her in the minority.
It certainly will. I mean, I was deeply concerned when the Geauga County Commissioners fired their county administrator right after Commissioner Brakey got elected. I understand these are difficult decisions, and I'm not here to judge in other counties, but I can tell you, for me as a new commissioner to come in and fire the county administrator day one is something I wouldn't have even thought of doing. So that concerned me, and there has been fighting on the Geauga Board of Commissioners since that fateful decision to fire the top administrator in Geauga. And it basically has been Jim Dvorak and Carolyn Brakey versus Ralph Spitaleri, who ran Dr. Olick. And, everyone knew that this was going to be an underdog race. Beating an incumbent, particularly a multi-term incumbent like Jim Dvorak, is not easy. And Jim is a well-liked guy. I don't want to take anything away from him in his 8 years on the commission. He's a well-liked guy. So it is a big accomplishment to defeat a popular incumbent county commissioner in a Republican primary. But Dr. Olick has done just that and extended his extraordinary record as a public servant from the military to West Point to Lakeland, now to Geauga County Commissioner. Dr. Olick continues.
Yeah, I think in Geauga County, I believe Dvorak and Brakey, they pushed Spitaleri out as the representative of Nowaka. And I believe Skip Claypool was the alternate, for Spitaleri. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. So
you are correct. But given that 2 commissioners make that decision, I would be fairly confident that we're going to see former Commissioner Claypool back on the board for Nowaka, along with my alternate, Mayor John Mara.
that would be my take on it also. So that's big changes in Geauga County. No question about it. People have spoken up, and they have not liked the tandem of Brakey and Dvorak.
Yep, got you guys. So, I don't know. Things are starting to wind down. I'm going to take some time later and look at all these state central committee races. Doris Peters is still winning by about 500 votes, I think.
Yep.
Which is a lot.
I think last time she lost by 100 votes.
Well, the story with her, and this is just an inside story because, obviously a lot of people that are watching have no clue who she is and stuff like that. But she's on the State Central Committee, and she actually tied. She tied. The Board of Elections said it was the largest tie they'd ever seen. They both had over 10,000 votes.
Surreal.
But anyhow, the point of the story is, we were talking, and she's like, they're going to flip the coin. So I got this vision, that it was going to be heads. It flashed into my mind. I saw the coin land heads up. And I'm thinking to myself, well, do I say it or not to her? Because if I say that I'm wrong, yikes, and if I don't say it, and she could have won, then I would have felt like a heel. So I said, I'm just going to go for it. I said, Doris, I got this vision. Maybe God sent me this vision, and I saw the coin land heads up. You got to pick heads. You got to pick heads. She picked heads, and it came up tails. And she has never forgotten me on that. I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. I felt so bad. I really felt bad at that point. It's like, oh, shit. All right. What do we got here? Well, Vivek pulled ahead. I'll just show you this real quick. Any comments on it? Vivek won pretty easily. However, Putz did get 17% of the vote, whether that's meaningful or not. How about that, George? Is that meaningful at all to you, that Casey Putz was able to get 17% of the vote?
Yeah, if his people don't show up, in a close race, it could mean trouble for Vivek. But like I said, good is not the enemy of perfect. So again, you have to remember, as a Hindu, obviously he doesn't accept Christ, but he believes in a God. So a lot of our aspects of our constitutional republic are theistic as opposed to Christian. So as long as he's not an atheist, that's he accepts a deity, and that's important too. Getting back to the 13th district, Shannon, I disagree slightly. I believe Kerry Coleman could actually win that district, because if you look at the statistics for 2022, DeWine carried that district as it is constituted now by 11%. And Frank LaRoche carried that district by 7%. So there is an element of, again, they're a little bit more moderate, and we have to go after Amelia Sykes on all her radicalism, and Painter so far left that Kerry will look to be a moderate.
Well, George, first off, I want to make sure I was clear. I never said that he couldn't win it. I just said that the district had moved slightly more Democrat in redistricting. Well, I'll leave with this. I do have to get moving. I'm actually out west today. I'm in Salt Lake City or Park City right now, and need to head back down to this conference I'm at. But leave with this thought. There is no doubt that our November election is going to show at least slightly lower Republican turnout, right? That's just the reality. John said it earlier, party in control. Usually our people are happy because we're in control, so they're not pissed off, so they don't turn out to vote. The other side is pissed off, so they turn out to vote. It's just the way it works in American politics. I'm hopeful that things can move in our direction. I do think that we've got, a lot of the core fundamentals are moving our way right now. It's just, do we have the time? And we'll continue to move positively, or we'll have any negative things happen between now and Election Day. It's unforeseen. We'll know when we know. So yes, a good communicator like Gary could potentially win that seat. Gary, I'm sorry, George, but I don't think comparing Frank and DeWine in 22 is a good comparison. That was a great year for them. It was a great turnout year for us as midterms. For the Democrats, as the other direction, we're going to see negative turnout numbers. And, I don't know that he by himself can influence turnout. It's going to be the national mood that influences turnout, and then obviously the hard work that we can put in to influence turnout. So unfortunately, turnout by itself is going to be working against us. The map is working a couple points more against us from last time. So it's less probable, but it doesn't mean we can't win it. It's definitely a winnable seat. So
Right. Yeah, that was my only point, is that it's winnable and the numbers are potentially there. But Shannon, I also, you said our people might not turn out because they're happy and the Democrat, or our people aren't pissed and their people are pissed. But what should be driving our people is not that they're happy. Fear should be driving our people. If these bastards get back into power in 26 and they take the presidency back in 28, our republic is doomed. They should be running scared, and they should be turning out and turning away these degenerates and these people that hate our republics and hate our freedom. They should be driven by fear for their children, fear for their grandchildren. That's why I'm involved. I can take care of myself. It's my children and my grandchildren. I'm scared silly that these son of a bitches will get back into power.
yeah, I mean, should be and would be, it doesn't matter. People think, voters think and decide to vote and care about voting based on how they feel and where they're at currently right now, not about what the future is going to be in that perspective. Their future for their kids and things obviously influences, but it really comes down to it. If we're not still going to be at war, but if for one reason we were at war, or if gas prices continue to go up or stayed where they're at and didn't come down, affordability, all the core fundamentals, the pocketbook issues.
Well, Shannon, if it's driven by gas prices, then I say to hell with them. I think I'll just buy some season tickets to the Indian and hell with all of them, and I'll just go live my life and travel the world and enjoy my retirement. So if that's
well, George, I mean, I don't know if you were on when I gave my my analogy of targeting and the rule of targeting in college football. But I like to, I'll call that up again. I mean, we can't change the rules of the field. We can't change the environment. You got to play with what you have. And you can't get pissed because people don't think the way we do.
No, we could drive a campaign of fear. Drive a campaign of fear. And, we don't have to just focus on if gas is $1 more, 50 cents more. We could focus on other things. We could drive those issues that motivate us.
Yeah, I agree. The challenge you're going to have, George, is that we control everything in the state. We control everything in D.C. Well, at least by perception we do. We know we don't actually, but by perception we do. So it's even more challenging to be able to say to people, well, wait, if they get in charge, it's going to even be worse than it is now. That's a terrible message. So I agree with you that when you sit there and have that logical conversation with the voter, what we need to hope for is that a better environment over our heads, and then we need to come up with issues locally that people care about that'll get them out to vote. So, to your point, the things you were talking about with Sykes and how terrible her voting record is, and what she will do if you put her in power, that's it right there. So we just got to be able to drive it and give people a reason to turn out and vote against her.
Yeah, especially our people, that vote, that think like us.
Yep, that's right.
All right.
Well, Shannon, hey, thanks a lot. I thought you were going to come on for a couple minutes, and you stayed about an hour. I don't know how long you've been on, but I really
thought
appreciate it.
I was too, but I was having fun, man. So I enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
Shannon.
we'll let you go, and I know you got a meeting to go to. It's kind of late for a meeting, but maybe not. You're in a different time zone, right?
It's 8:30 here, so
Okay.
Just got to get down. And just I prefer to go by Strongsville GOP czar, not president. So just
You're the czar. All right. Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Appreciate you coming
all
on.
right, guys. Hey,
Have
I
a good
appreciate
night.
all your thoughts tonight. It's been great to share the night with you all, and looking forward to seeing some final results maybe by 4 a.m. in Cuyahoga County.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Have a good night. Thanks,
All right.
Shannon.
Take
See
care,
you.
Thanks, Shannon.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Well, we've got this. So as we go down to the Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court, it looks
Still 2%.
Andrew King has got 30% to 32%. What do you think?
Joey,
I don't
you
know.
can put it up on my screen. I have it up.
Oh, you got it also.
I,
All
Yeah,
right, that's
it's
better. When
almost-
you do that, it's great. All right, so the percentages are 30 for Andrew King, 32% for Colleen O'Donnell. Wow.
Not quite over yet, but given the trend where Colleen has led the entire time, it's looking more and more like, well, it'll be close. She's going to be one, and Andrew King's going to be two. And once again, I hope we keep our good candidates involved, especially Judge King. I think he has enormous potential. You know, speaking as a law professor, I'm very impressed with Judge King. And while Colleen O'Donnell is going to make an excellent justice of the Ohio Supreme Court, I have a feeling that Judge King will have many future races given his age and his incredible talent. Looking to the other major judicial race we've been following tonight, which is judge on the Ohio Court of Appeals for the 11th District. As predicted, Marissa Carnaccio remains in the lead. It's definitely tightened, but I think we're pretty close to most, if not all, the votes counted, and Marissa is up by more than 3%. So I think with an over 2,000 vote lead, 29,374 to 27,321, it's pretty likely that Marissa is going to be the next judge on the Court of Appeals, as predicted.
Yeah, David Engler there. I was really rooting for him. You can't find a better guy than that, David Engler, that judge. But he's going to fall up. He's going to fall short, unfortunately. He will fall
Hey, John, the woman that beat him, is she any good?
I believe she's an excellent candidate. She's from Lake County. I personally endorsed Marissa. She beat a Democrat for Willoughby Municipal Court when the last Republican who ran couldn't even place second, literally placed third after the Democrat and the Independent. And it was said there'd never be another Republican judge for Willoughby. But Marissa came in, knocked on doors, fought her way through, and eked out a win. And she's been an excellent judge in what is the busiest municipal court in Ohio. So she's done a lot of work as Willoughby Muni Court judge. And I'm confident as a former prosecutor, she's going to make an excellent appellate court judge.
All right, well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Very good to hear. Here's Stribich and Sprague, a 70-30 split.
Wow.
So probably not as close as I thought it was going to be. But again, Robert Sprague had a huge advantage in money. But that's politics. People that think it's the best candidate that wins all the time is greatly mistaken. It's not the best candidate. You know, you need to be a good candidate, but you also have to be a good politician. Sometimes
Hey, Joe,
being
I
a
just have
politician
one-
is even better than having being good at your job. Yeah.
Yeah, just my final comment for the evening. I would like nothing better than just my message to the Vivek Ramaswamy campaign. I'd like nothing better than a picture with Vivek signing our petition to abolish Ohio property taxes. That doesn't mean that it's going to be automatic. We got to get it on the ballot first. But it sure would be great if he would support this whole movement and show people that he's a believer in freedom and liberty for this and future generations.
Yep, I agree. I agree. That would be wonderful to see. You're calling it a night. You're calling
Yeah,
it
I've got
a
to wrap
night.
it up here. It's only been, 3.5 hours, Joe?
So, Joe, if I could follow our fearless leader, Brian Massey, in sharing some closing remarks, we're definitely seeing a lower turnout for Republicans, as we all projected. And this is a warning sign for our party in Ohio that we have to return to our roots. We actually have to cut spending, cut government, and cut taxes. And we, the people, are saying louder than ever that the tax we are most concerned with are out of control property taxes. We know that the increases aren't done, Our county auditors warned we're looking at another 25% increase in property values when our next revaluation hits. And Lake County's a bellwether. We've been right on the nose with these increases. When Ohio saw a 30% increase, Lake County saw a 30% increase. As Lake County goes, so goes the state. And so we know that there's more trouble coming down the pike. There's much worse tax increases on the way if we don't take action now. And I think you're seeing state legislators being punished in this election, particularly Republican state legislators, for not doing their job and addressing this problem head on years ago. Because we have been warning for years that Bidenflation and the record spending from DC was going to translate into a huge property tax hike. It was no surprise to the folks in Columbus. They just thought they could get away with keeping our money and spending even more. And I think that tonight is a little bit of a wake-up call. I think Jay Edwards' race in particular, as it looks more and more likely that he's going to defeat Senator Christina Roebner, it's not a plus to have state senator or state rep in front of your name right now. It is a minus at the polls because people, and I think rightly so, are blaming the majorities in Columbus for not doing their will. And so I think, and I hope that we're going to see a course correction after this. I think and I hope that the Republican Party of Ohio is going to say, guys, party's over. You know, you can't just do whatever the hell you want. You work for the people. You are servants first. We're done with your little agendas or whatever it is you're trying to do here, but you got to cut spending, cut taxes, cut government. That is the only reason Republicans exist. I mean, to George Satari's point, how are we going to scare people about the Democrats if our own Republicans are voting like Democrats? If we're going to say don't vote for Amy Acton, Vivek Ramaswamy has to show a powerful anti-tax message, a powerful small government message, a powerful message of cutting spending for we the people to win. And John Huston is going to have to do the same. Look, we all know that Sherrod Brown is one of the most liberal senators in Washington, D.C., but he's going to sell himself as a conservative, pro-worker, pro-America, pro-Ohio guy. And I think Senator Huston, just like Vivek, needs to very strongly say, this is a tale of two countries. You can be overtaxed, overburdened with a government that just keeps growing until it collapses in on itself, or we can cut spending, cut government, cut taxes. We got to go back to our roots. That is how Republicans are going to win in November. But there's going to be some painful decisions. There's some arrogant folks in Columbus that have to be reined in hard. And we got to look at these results and say, we're not politically invincible. You can't tell the people what to do anymore. You got to start listening instead of speaking, because frankly, no one is interested in hearing from our state reps and senators. We want them to go to Columbus, do as they're told, and what everyone is saying is cut or abolish entirely property taxes.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you for coming on again, and as always, you do a fantastic job. And Brian, if you're still with us, thank you again too for coming on. And you guys,
thank you, Joe, for the opportunity. I really do.
I
do appreciate it, and you're doing a great service for the citizens of Ohio. And thank you, Commissioner Plechnik. As always, you're right on target, doing a great job. And I see him as the he's a future congressman. There's no question in my mind.
Well, I'm going to let George give us the last words tonight, and we're going to wrap it up. But I do look at this, and it looks like Colleen O'Donnell has, well, she's moved up 1/100%, which doesn't sound like much. But as you went from 80% reporting to 82% reporting, and she gained a slight advantage, I got a feeling she's going to pull this out. Congratulations to her. She's got a fire in her gut. I remember that more than anything from her speaking. All right, George, give us your wisdom, man. Wrap it up tonight. Thank you also for coming on. Really appreciate it every time you join. Appreciate
my
your
pleasure.
wisdom.
Thanks to Brian and John. They're great Americans. The only corollary I have to add to John's about cutting tax revenues, we also have the corollary of cutting tax spending. Ohio spends way too much money, has way too many regulations, and that I think we have that double-edged sword of cutting taxes and cutting spending, and Ohio could go back in the top 10 of most prosperous states in the union. So that's what we have to work toward. And regarding the 13th congressional district, we have some strategies working out with Kerry Coleman, revitalization of the Akron airport, revitalization of Summit County as a hub, getting back to its manufacturing roots and different things. So we have some good strategies, positive, upbeat things, as well as the fear factor in the sense we do not want to go back to the battle days of 2020 to 2024 under Biden and the Democrats, because that's a disaster for freedom-loving individuals, most importantly, my children and my grandchildren. Like I said, I can take care of myself. It's for them I fear in that future.
I got you. Well, he did a good showing tonight, and congratulations to Kerry Coleman.
Yes.
And that will wrap it up tonight. So starting tomorrow, it's like get behind the people that won, and we've got to get a clean sweep in November. You guys take care, man. Thanks a lot for everybody joining
Thanks,
us
Joe.
here.
All right.
Have a good
Thanks,
night,
John,
John.
for everything.
Thanks, everybody. Bye, George. Bye,
Good
John.
night.